where cookies don't get in the way of your advertising. Welcome to radio. Advertising that's cookie-free. Visit radiocenterireland.ie to see what radio can do for your product or brand.
Get the right tools or equipment to get the job done with great hire deals at Watson Hire in Letterkenny. Everything from diggers to power tools, dumpers to portaloos, and pressure washers to cherry pickers. Watson's offer a fast and reliable service. To book, call Watson Hire in Letterkenny on 9167777.
There's bingo every Monday night at Halfway House, Burnfoot. Doors open at 7:30 with eyes down at 8:30. €2,500 must go. The snowball is now €1,000 on 45 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's Halfway House bingo tonight at 8:30.
Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors, serving Letterkenny and the surrounding areas for over 100 years. Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors. Let our family take care of your family and guide you through a difficult time.
Good morning to you, and good morning to Greg Hughes. Sorry for running over there, Greg.
Welcome to the 9 till noon show, Gooch.
Oh, thanks. Nice to be part of your programme.
Boy.
Yes, I can always say I was on the programme with you. It was lovely.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a good show,
it's
right?
all good. In the hood. Don't worry about it. It's only a minute.
Aye, but I know your time's precious.
We've got 3 hours. Don't worry about it. Thanks, Lee.
Cheers,
Chat to you soon. All right, it is the 9 till noon show. Time for a news update at 9:01. And it's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Younger people are being advised it's now easier than ever to register to vote. It's moved from a paper-based to an online system with basic information like a PPS number, air code and date of birth required. Many of 70,000 potential voters who've just turned 18 over the past 12 months are unregistered or unaware that they need to register. Heading into the year with 2 referendums and local and European elections, it's important everyone does get registered. Paul Gordon from the National Youth Council of Ireland says everyone should register to vote.
It's much easier than it was previously. A lot of it was paper-based. It involved going to the Garda station, getting it stamped, and then sending it to your council. And that was a real barrier, particularly to young people. And now it is easier than ever. You can do so at checktheregister.ie. You only require a few simple pieces of information.
The Higher Education Minister is urging those who received exit deals from RTE to come before the Oireachtas committees. Simon Harris is calling for transparency, particularly from those who have not yet faced scrutiny. Minister Harris says now's the time to come forward.
I think it is important to say that there have been a number of RTE executives, current and former, who have went in front of Oireachtas committees and spent many, many hours in front of those committees. There's others who haven't attended for 1 minute or cooperated in any way. It's really important that anyone who can assist the Oireachtas committee structure does do that.
Machinery was stolen from a farm on the Glenshane Road on Thursday last. PSNI are investigating after a suspicious vehicle was observed in the area at around 4 a.m. It was then realised a number of items had been stolen, such as a galvanised silver log splitter, a Nugent bale spike and a bale lifter. The total value of the items lost is around £3,000. Police in Strabane are asking those who believe they have information to get in touch. A full list of the items stolen can be found online. Gardaí in Donegal have made an appeal on social media on the appropriate way to report a crime. They say to make any type of report to call your local Garda station. They added that their social media channels are not monitored on a 24-hour basis and provided a full list of local station numbers. Looking now to weather, today will be mainly dry and sunny, cloud during the afternoon with patches of light rain or drizzle developing later. Highest temperatures of 9 to 11 degrees in light to moderate westerly winds, becoming southerly and freshening later. That's all for now from Highland Radio News, back again at 10 o'clock.
Didn't know this car was diesel.
It's not.
At the garage you use the black pump. Diesel.
No idea. So we're going to miss the flight, but sun holidays are overrated. All that sun and sand, who needs it, eh?
Where'd you use the black pump? Diesel.
No idea. So, I'll call Allianz Breakdown Assistance.
With Allianz Car Insurance, you can also add breakdown assistance. Save 15% when you get a quote online at allianz.ie. You write it, we underwrite it. Allianz. Allianz PLC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Standard acceptance criteria, policy conditions and a minimum premium apply. Breakdown assistance is an optional extra and an additional premium applies.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. You're very welcome along to another week of the 9 till noon show as the clock just turns 5 minutes past 9 on this Monday, the 19th of February 2024. How are you all keeping? What happened at your weekend? If you want to share with us, please do. Maybe it's some good news, an act of kindness, whatever it might be, or maybe there's an issue that's propped up that you need our help and support with. Well, get in touch with us. The lines are open for you right now, of course, on 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number, and you can also send your WhatsApp voice notes to that. If you want to give us a call, we've got Caroline, as always, producing the programme, assisted by Shannon, both taking your calls on 07491 25,000, and email comments@highlandradio.com, and you can contact us on our social media as well, as many of you do. And if you want to watch the programme, go to YouTube, the YouTube app on your TV, your smart TV or Fire Stick, and you can watch us there, and we're across your mobile devices on that app and on Facebook as well. Highland Hub, Highland News and Sport. Coming up later on after 11 o'clock, well, there's lots coming up on the show. Brendan Devaney's going to be on with us. He's looking forward to the DL debate, reflecting on the weekend's sporting action. Another great performance from the Donegal seniors. Well, when I say a great performance, a good second half, certainly first half, not so much. But anyway, we'll be talking through that and the rest of the GEA results with Brendan. And we're also going to be joined by a panel to discuss the upcoming referendums. You would know that we're going to the polls, or being asked to go to the polls on March 8th, International Women's Day. There are 2 referendums. And we have 4 people with different views on which way they might vote, and I suppose trying to influence others as well. So that's coming up after 11. They're complex referendums, there's no doubt about it, because it's not just the wordings of the referendum, but lots of people have different views as to what might happen if the referendums are passed or not passed. And that's where the sort of interpretation and the could be comes into it, or it could open the door for this, or it could open the door for that. And it's going to be difficult, really, I think. I think it's going to come down to really who you trust to some extent as well. But anyway, we're going to debate that after 11. If you have any questions or comments in relation to those referendums, get them into us right now on the numbers I mentioned just a few moments ago. So hopefully we'll come out of that with a little bit more clarity on what way we're thinking and what have you. Every day for me too is a learning day on that issue, so I'm looking forward to it, to sit in on it, of course, but just to hear what the contributors have to say. We've got a great panel, actually, of voices you're familiar with to discuss that. So stay tuned for that. That's coming up after 11 o'clock. Let's have a quick look at what's in and on the front of the papers this morning. The Donegal News, a leading Donegal cancer campaigner, has warned that despite the high numbers of patients receiving treatment at a cross-border centre, many are still forced to travel further afield. Chair of Donegal Action for Cancer Care, Betty Holmes, said laurels cannot be rested upon when it comes to providing cancer treatment. Figures released to the Donegal News through the Freedom of Information Act reveal 1,353 Donegal patients have been treated at the Northwest Cancer Centre in Altnagelvin Hospital in Derry since 2017. The figures were highest last year when 268 Donegal patients received cancer treatment at NWCC. The Derry News this morning. And yes, of course, this is the story I wanted to discuss from this paper. It is from Catherine McGinty. Signs at Greenan of Alia deterring people from visiting the iconic Inishowen monument have been removed. The Office of Public Work signs at the Fort car park were giving visitors the mistaken impression Greenan of Alia was closed when it was actually open. Dozens of disappointed Derry visitors found themselves repeatedly unable to gain access to the Ring Fort over Christmas and New Year. Such was the visitor and community frustration with the situation. An online petition started recently by local historian Bettina Link to restore open access to Greenan of Alia was signed by more than 1,500 people. But the signs have been removed. Opening hours there have been extended. On to the Irish Times now, and a legal analysis carried out by the Free Legal Advice Centre concerning next month's referendum proposals has led to its supporting the proposed family amendment to the Constitution, but not the ineffective, as they describe it, and implicitly sexist amendment on carers. The Care Amendment is unlikely to provide carers, people with disabilities or older people, with new enforceable rights or improved services from the state, Flack said. The proposal gives constitutional expression to harmful stereotypes in care provision and potentially compromises the rights of people with disabilities. While Flack has said it will not be participating in the referendum campaign, the position adopted by the respected independent human rights and equality body is significant and a significant contribution to the debate. On to the Irish Independent now. And what do you think about this? Listen, a lot of people are paying mortgages late into their life. But a new lender is to issue mortgages that people can pay off until they are 80. I mean, would you take on a 40-year mortgage if you were 40, or a 60-year mortgage if you were 20? That's not realistic. Probably a 50-year mortgage if you were 30. But anyway, new lender, MoCo, is prepared to issue mortgages that people can pay off until the age of 80. Most lenders have credit policies that mean they want the mortgage paid off by the time the homeowner reaches the age of 70. MoCo, which is owned by Australian bank BAWAG, is expected to add some much-needed competition in the home loans market here, which is dominated by AIB and Bank of Ireland. It insisted it is acting prudently in offering mortgages to older homeowners. Last month, it launched its first home loans in this market, including a 5-year fixed rate starting from 4.5%, which is lower than the main banks. But its move to issue lending criteria to brokers that permits mortgage terms that will mean some borrowers still paying off the loan up to the age of 80 has raised eyebrows. Its credit policy states max term of up to 35 years, max term to applicants aged 80. So a 45-year-old, theoretically, if I got my maths correct, yes, a 45-year-old could take out a 35-year mortgage paying it until the age of 80. Okay, maybe it's more inclusive. Maybe it's a good thing. Will they do a lot of trade? Perhaps. The Irish Daily Mail, the media minister is to haul RTE Director General Kevin Backhurst and Board Chair Shinini Ratlia before her this morning to insist full transparency around golden handshake exit payments is vital to rebuild trust and secure future funding for the national broadcaster. It's understood Catherine Martin will urge the pair to explore options for maximum disclosure at the earliest opportunity and make clear that reform of the funding model is linked with reform of RTE. Simon Coveney, the Enterprise Minister, he does not know how much his brother was paid to leave RTE after the latter spearheaded the multi-million euro flop Late Late Show the musical. Now, the problem for Kevin Backhurst is that some of these deals where confidentiality was afforded were agreed whilst he was in situ as the DG, right? So does that point to change? You know what I mean? This is taxpayers' money. Why should some of these people be able to leave with a year's salary or 2 years' salary or whatever the package might be, and it to be a secret? And that secrecy was agreed by the new Director General, Kevin Backhurst, and it's a political problem for the government, hence him coming before the media minister. On to the Irish Sun and a bill of nearly €1,500. When was the last time you spent €1,500 in a restaurant or a bistro, I wonder? I would say there's very few people listening to this show that have ever racked up a bill of €1,500. Well, a bill of nearly €1,500 was racked up at Jamie Oliver's Bistro. It was among items paid for on an Oireachtas credit card over the past year. An invoice for €17,000 to the Posh K Club was also among the expenditures. There was also a €1,000 bill for a working dinner at a boutique lounge and nearly €11,500 spent on accommodation at the capital's Conrad Hotel. The Oireachtas currently has 4 credit cards in operation. The largest bill incurred was €17,284 spent at the K Club in County Kildare, or the Kildare Hotel and Country, as it is listed in the statements. Officials said this was for a meeting of the British-Irish Parliamentary Assembly in December and included representatives from Ireland, the UK and its island dependencies. 1,423 charge at Dublin's Checker Lane by Jamie Oliver's restaurant last February for a dinner to mark a visit by the Speaker of the Republic of Moldova. Okay, that's interesting. €1,500 wining and dining, the Speaker of the Republic of Moldova, and that went on a Oireachtas credit card. I'm not sure if that's regular spending or if that's something that might get the ire of the public. Who's to say? Interesting story from the Irish Daily Mirror. If you were watching the Late Late Show on Friday, you would have seen a group of individuals performing in honour of the late singer Sinead O'Connor. Well, RTE asked musicians not to wear pro-Palestinian clothing and accessories during a performance on the Late Late Show. The Irish Women in Harmony group performed a tribute to Sinead O'Connor on Friday night's edition. However, Irish Artist for Palestine said prior to the performance, a group member was asked to change a T-shirt which featured the word Gaza and a love heart, while others were asked to remove badges expressing support for Palestinians, which I find quite interesting because the RTE actually did a fundraiser for Ukraine. The Late Late Show, if I'm not mistaken, they actually did a fundraiser for Ukraine when Ryan Tubridy was the host. If I'm not mistaken as well, the ambassador from Israel to Ireland appeared on the show, or has appeared on RTE at the very least, wearing pro-Israeli badges and what have you. So there is precedent here from Israel, a representative from Israel being able to express themselves through badges and what have you, and an actual fundraiser for Ukraine. So how is the policy formed there where you go, right, well, we can do a fundraiser for Ukraine, but we can't wear a T-shirt that supports Gaza? It really is quite one I can't really quite get my head around. RTE said contributors are asked not to wear clothing related to one particular point of view as part of its impartiality guidelines. A spokesperson said all RTE content follows clear guidelines in regard to impartiality. Now, I'm not saying, there are a lot of people that feel there's no impartiality in the Russia-Ukraine situation, but there are others that would argue that, of course, there has to be. But it seems a bit of a, I don't know what to make of that. What do you think? 086 60 25,000. And lastly, good news from the BAFTAs last night for Ireland. Cillian Murphy has become the first Irish-born performer, and he's very proud to be Irish-born as well. He's the first Irish-born performer to win a BAFTA award for Best Actor. The Cork native bagged the BAFTA for Best Actor in a leading role for his performance in Oppenheimer, making him the first Irish actor to get the prize. Cillian's performance as J. Robert Oppenheimer, one of the leading men responsible for inventing the atomic bomb, nabbed the prestigious award, his first BAFTA win. There was also nominations too for Barry Keoghan and Paul Mescal. They missed out, I believe. But anyway, Oppenheimer, a good film. If you sort of watch it in the context that there's kind of like three timelines going at the same time. It's less confusing when you view it like that. All right, okay, that was a run through the papers this morning. How are you all doing? Stay in touch, stay in contact, keep us busy. 086 60 25,000, that's the WhatsApp and text number, or call 074 91 25,000. It is Monday's 9 till noon show. First guests on the way.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the C-Store National Large Forecourt of the Year for 2022.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre, or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
PDO thread lifts and skin boosters, which rejuvenate the skin by improving facial contours, lifting and tightening the jowls, neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. To choose the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. 07495 325 75.
Don't know if you know Alice and Pat. Late 40s, couple of kids, been together 17 years. Never married, of course, but that's not a problem. Until something happens, and suddenly words like unmarried, inheritance, and substantial tax bill enter the equation. You never need proper estate planning. Until you do. That's why the experienced team at McElhenney & Associates are here to help. Find us online or call 074 917 5989. McElhenney & Associates Solicitors, Stranoller.
An event called Donegal Literature and Landscape will take place in Buncrana Community Library at 3 p.m. on Ireland Reads Day, Saturday 24th of February. Writers will discuss the way the unique landscape of Donegal has influenced their work. Inspired by the Booker Prize win of Donegal author Paul Lynch. The event is free, but booking is advised. Visit donegallibrary.ie for more information.
Now, farmers are going to target county council meetings around the country in the next phase of a campaign against rising costs and increased regulation. The message for politicians, we're told, is that enough is enough. Frank Brady is regional chair of the IFA and joins us on the programme now. Good morning to you, Frank. Thanks for your time. Sorry, Frank, are you there? No, I don't seem to have Frank there, unfortunately. Anyway, we'll get Frank for you in a moment. 086 60 25,000, by the way, if you want to have a say on that, whether or not you back the farmers in their protests, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. And just an opportunity as we reconnect to remind you that a little later on, we are going to be debating the upcoming referendums on carers and what have you. I'll give you the proper wording. I don't want to do it off the top of my head for fear if it's misleading, but we are being asked to vote on March the 8th. I wonder how many of you actually will take the time to vote. Do you believe it's something that moves you or bothers you? I wonder actually in relation to that, because we don't really hear from those that aren't really that bothered, if you know what I mean, that maybe even turn the news over when this issue comes up, that they feel it doesn't affect them. I'd say there's a lot of people out there along those lines. Caroline, can I have that stuff from the end of the week, just if you don't mind, because it gave me an opportunity to catch up on that. Yeah, I just, those that are sort of passive about the whole situation, do we really get to hear from them? I'm not really sure. Right, some comments here. I was wondering if you could highlight something for me. It's with regards to do with women. I don't know if it's rats or mice. Oh, shall I come back to that then? Because that's quite a long message. All right, I'll come back to that one. That's from a listener. Frank, are you there? Frank Brady, are you there?
Greg, how are you this morning?
I am doing fantastic, Frank. Okay, so when we say enough is enough, when farmers say enough is enough, what do they mean?
I mean that we're tired by bureaucrats. Sorry, I have a cold.
That's okay. Take your time.
By bureaucrats. We're tired by bureaucrats who are trying to save the world and blame the farmers for everything. They'll take the beef in with the Mercer deals. They'll not pay us our payments in time. And if we're late or if we make one mistake, we're fined, we're closed down. And we're just generally getting tired of it. We want to be treated as equals, and we want to be treated for what we do. Produce really good food in a very good carbon-friendly place.
And this is not just Ireland. We're seeing a movement right across Europe. And I think particularly in France, the farmers are really ramping up their game in that regard. So it's not a uniquely Irish situation then. What's happening across Europe that has farmers so angry? Is it what you've said? Is it deals that are being signed, proposals that are being made? Or is it being used as what some might see as the scapegoat for the whole climate crisis conversation?
I would say it's a combination of all three, Greg. Definitely would say it's a combination. In France and Germany, it was the diesel and taking the VAT off it, or putting the VAT on it. And that was the torch that lit the fire. Here, it's always been late with our payments, always feeling like second-hand, trying natural taking our land away from us, wetting one field between two good farmers and not telling us where the extra water is going to go. There's lots of little things there. Special areas of conservation. We have the hen harrier, where they paid farmer for 5 years to look after them, which seems to have been a bit of a failure. And then after 5 years, you continue doing what they want you to do, but they're not going to give you any expense that it incurs. So there's lots of little things that we're doing. I'd say it's a setup of supermarkets not giving us a margin, not getting a fair price, having to live like this. I think if we all had a margin and we're all well properly paid, I think there'd be a lot less. People wouldn't be as unhappy as they are.
I mean, some would feel it's almost like being seen as a sunset sector. In other words, it's on its last legs. Is there a sense that this is the beginning of the last stand to protect farming and its future and farming families and their sons and daughters who may have an interest in farming? Does it feel like that we're at the tipping point now? It's now or never?
Craig, look at the average age of farmers. A few years ago, it's 57 years of age. It's now 62. I'm lucky I have a son that's come into my business. I don't think he's lucky because it's too hard a life. Like, what's happening here? Are we going back to the landlord system, which is not what we want, where the big are getting much bigger and the small are leaving because their children don't want to go? Why are farmers' children the best educated? Because they don't want them going back to doing what they did, so that we give them the best education we can give them. So there is a need there for make sure that if somebody's going farming, that there's a proper income. And they'll do the hours, they'll do everything else, but they do need to be rewarded for the work. And we do produce carbon-friendly food. We're the best producer of milk in Europe, and we're the fifth best for beef. Nobody can produce it like we do, and less rewards for it. We don't want a big margin, but we just want to be rewarded, and the government has to stand up. They brought in a regulator there. Has she any real powers at the end of the day? Our acres payments, all our payments were delayed. If we told the civil servants they're not going to get paid until after Christmas. Last September, we generally got our payments when kids are going back to school. Farmers didn't have the money to pay for their children's education because everything was put back, because of IT systems, because of everything. And as Francie O'Gorman says, enough is enough.
This is not a question coming from a point of view from me, though. But you're talking about payments, and it's not necessarily payments for producing or wages. It's actually payments and supports from the government, from the EU. Yeah. In reality, if farming had to stand on its own 2 feet, could it survive? Is it an industry worth saving? Because it really is only kept going, is it not, as it is, because farmers are really, they're not making money off what they're doing. They're keeping their head above water by being supported.
Yes, I agree with all of those things. But Greg, did you have a breakfast this morning?
Oh, no, listen, you don't have to convince me, but I have to ask the questions.
I know, but I have to convince some of your listeners.
Not this morning, but...
Oh, Jesus, Greg, you should always. The most important meal of the day.
You just asked the wrong person that question. But I had breakfast yesterday morning, Frank. I had breakfast yesterday morning.
You had dinner last night.
I did.
You had dinner last night. And all of those ingredients hopefully came from Ireland.
Yes.
And if we are not producing it, we have to go to Brazil, we have to go to Argentina, where there's massive big farmers, and they'll continue to cut down the rainforest. Mm-hmm. Then we have the carbon footprint. It's like the almond milk. People say, the almond milk is great. They don't realise that after the almonds are cut down, that the ground has to be rested for 2 to 3 years because of all the nutrients it takes out, plus the carbon footprint that it takes to bring it from there to here. So the most curious thing that we can do is produce food. There's an issue now with women, people that are, ladies that are having babies that are vegetarians. There's a little bit of rickets coming in on the babies because of the diet isn't balanced. So we do need farmers to produce a balanced diet, to produce a good diet and a wholesome diet. Mm-hmm. And whether we like it or not, we need to support our farmers, because the housewife or the house husband or the consumer, in a better word, is getting cheap food, which is supported by the government. If we didn't, or Europe, if we didn't have that cheap food, the consumer would have to pay an awful lot more. And that is how they do it. That's how CAP came in the beginning, was to make sure that food was safe. And it was there after World War II. That's why CAP was so important. And now they're taking it away gradually. And there will be an issue, if we're not careful, on food. There will be a shortage of food. And then where do we go? And we need family farms to produce food because they're the most efficient people of doing it, because a farmer with enough just to look after himself looks after his animals much better than a big multinational that has thousands of them.
Now,
we know all our animals.
Yeah.
Every farmer that I know would nearly know all their animals individually.
Frank, how much of this, because obviously there's an EU-wide element to this, how much of this is the actual playing field for farmers across Europe? And in terms of what Irish farmers are going through, how much of it is about our deals and what we get from Europe, or what rules and regulations we have to like, in other words, could an awful lot of the Irish farming issues be resolved with a better deal from Europe? Are Irish farmers in certain ways more disadvantaged than their counterparts in France, Spain, Portugal, etc.?
I would say you speak to any farmer in any of those countries, they will think they're probably disadvantaged more than any other farmer. But I suppose if we look down seriously and looked at it all, we're all seriously disadvantaged because of the rules and regulations that are being put in place by people that don't even know what they're doing. And that is the issue here. Why are they doing this? Why are they not willing to support us and let us produce food and let us get a proper price for it?
Right, as we're speaking, those watching the show are observing the last protest, whereby it wasn't disruptive. It was in solidarity with farmers across Europe. The next stage of that, as we've mentioned right at the beginning of this, is to protest at Donegal County Council meeting on Wednesday. So what form will that take on Wednesday around Lifford, Frank?
Well, what we did in Longford, and we were the first crowd to, as regional chairman, I was in Longford. What we did in Longford was we went in and we met the council and we were brought into their chamber, myself and John Sheridan, who's chairman of Longford, and we sat down and we told them our issues and we looked for their support because they'll want our support in a couple of months' time when they're going for election. So we look for their support to help us that the red tape is cut, that the regulator has real teeth, that the schemes that they bring in are to help us rather than hinder us. And we're going to do the same with the Donegal County Councillors. That basically enough is enough. Work with us rather than work against us. And if you work with us, we'll work with you.
Yeah, because you know it's like fishing as well, and we saw quite a passionate exchange in Killybegs there recently. And I'm on about from speaking to people within the industry, so I don't know enough to express an opinion myself, but speaking to people that I trust and know, is where is the next generation of fishers? Where is the next generation of farmers? You know, we are, I think, there's quite a small window here to, as some would say, turn it around, that there is a future for those industries, because they could just naturally die out, a little bit like cash or something along those lines. You know, where are the next crop of farmers and fishers going to come from? And there's no industry without them, because no harm to the likes of yourself, Frank, or if it were me, we're not going to be around forever.
No, unfortunately, we're not going to be around forever. I found that out this morning. We're not going to be around forever because it's just... and what I made the point earlier is that what's going to happen is the landlord system that we fought hundreds of years to get away from will take over, because the small will be taken over and the big will get bigger, and then he'll have to go and get staff in from Romania or Mexico or Philippines or wherever, and Ireland will lose its heritage of small family farms. The local GA team will lose. The local churches will lose. Everybody loses if the family farm goes down the drain. Okay. And that's why it's very important that we have to keep the family farm viable, and we have to look after it, because if we look after the family farm, we get the food we want. We know it's safe. It can't be produced any safer than what we produce in Ireland. And we know we have a rural community, which is what everybody wants.
All right, Frank. I do note your passing comment. Hope everything's all right with you and those close to you. But thank you very much for joining us this morning. I do appreciate it.
Okay.
Take
Thanks
care.
very much, Greg.
All right, bye-bye, Frank. Frank Brady there, regional chair of the IFA. They're going up on Wednesday, and I'm sure they'll get a good hearing from the local public representatives, of course. Any views on any of that conversation? 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Hi, Greg. I was just wondering if you know anything about the man who stands outside a shop looking for spare change. He was at this shop again yesterday evening, and I feel totally freaked out by him as he stands so close to the door frame so that staff do not see him, and even though I know he's there, I get a fright and bang my trolley into the door. He is obviously making a pretty penny when he continues to do this, but I feel it's unfair as people who cannot afford to give money may be doing so. Now, that is, I'm not sure what area that's in. I know the type of shop, I know the name of the shop. Is it a ploy to sort of get the trolley money, I wonder? That you might hand over the €1 or €2, dependent on what it might be. I don't know. But this person finds it quite intimidating, this person standing so close to this shop. I suspect it may well be in Letterkenny. OK, back with more on the programme shortly.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
On March 8th, we'll be asked to vote in 2 referendums. The first referendum is about how our Constitution recognises families, and the second proposes to replace existing wording with new text to provide recognition for care within families. A booklet explaining the 2 amendments will be delivered to homes across Ireland, or see electoralcommission.ie/referendums. Your vote is your voice, so be a voter on March 8th. From An Comisiún Tábhachtán, Ireland's Independent Electoral Commission.
It's time to visit Ireland's newest Lexus dealership, Lexus Letterkenny. With 50 years of experience, you can trust us in this new era of electrification. Experience our all-electrified range, including the stunning ES Hybrid Saloon and our award-winning range of plug-in hybrid SUVs. And view our finance offers, including the all-new LBX. Start your 2-for-1 journey with Lexus Letterkenny Port Road. Lexus. Experience amazing.
Are you tired of waiting for treatment or surgery? Did you know you can receive immediate treatment across the border under the new NI planned healthcare scheme at potentially no cost? Donegal patients are still being treated with us at Kingsbridge Private Hospital Northwest post-Brexit. The process is easy and our dedicated team will help guide you through it. So why wait? Contact us today to find out how you can skip the waiting lists and receive treatment in Northern Ireland. Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com, because life matters.
Don't miss the BAFTA award-winning comedian Michael McIntyre's brand new show, Magnificent, at the SSE Arena Belfast on Friday the 31st of May 2024. As always, Highland Radio make it easy for you as we look after all your needs. We will provide luxury transfers, overnight stay at the Clayton Hotel Belfast on a B&B basis, your ticket to the show, shopping time in Belfast City Centre. For more information, go to the outlet at highlandradio.com or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Michael McIntyre in Belfast.
All right, you're welcome back to the show. I did read towards the end of last week that the Housing Minister confirmed he expects Sligo to be included in the state's MICA and Pyrite Redress Scheme, as it was referred to by a media outlet down the country. Darragh O'Brien indicated that County would be high on the priority list. Hundreds of homes in Sligo are thought to be affected by the issue, and it's sort of loaded as, wow, this is great news. Sligo is now going to be added to this. But for those who are already on this scheme in Donegal, the reality is that for many it just simply is not working, or it's slow, or it's faulty. That's the feedback we're getting anyway. Gareth joins us on the programme now. Hi, Gareth.
Morning, Greg. How's the form?
I'm doing all right, Gareth, and I hope you and yours are okay as well. You are... well, tell us your experience of the scheme so far and the situation you find yourself in.
Well, the current situation we're in, Greg, is we are due to move out of our house, hopefully in the next week and a half. Where our plan is that the demo and rebuilds will hopefully start sometime in March. So up to this point, we have had to lay quite a few quid out of our own pocket that we have no chance of getting back as yet because we have no access to the portal. We have contacted the council about this, and we have been told that it's currently not open. They don't know when it's going to reopen, which leaves us no chance of getting any of this money we've spent so far. And we have spent close to about €8,500.
And there's no real opportunity for you to get this back then, so because you can't engage with the system to lodge your lodge your documentation. Is that the situation?
Yeah. So currently, yeah, there's no, we have no chance of getting this money back currently. And like I say, we haven't even moved out of our house yet. We have had to make our own plans for storage. There's no storage space available anywhere in Letterkenny. So we had to go and we had to buy a shed. We haven't got space on our land. We live in an estate in Ramelton. We haven't got space on our land to put in a big storage container. So we had to go and buy a shed. We had to clear an area in the garden. We had to move our oil tank, which consequently has left us with no heating for the last 2 weeks. We had to move our oil tank. We put the shed in. We filled the shed with all the stuff from the house. We've been told that this may not fall under applicable costs in the scheme. The scheme does provide €5,000 for storage, but we have been told that this may not qualify as an applicable cost. So we could be left with that bill ourselves.
You made the point, or your partner made the point that, if revenue needed to get money in, it'd all be sorted really, really quickly. Why can't they put the same sort of emphasis into paying the money out?
It would be nice, yeah. It would be nice if anybody would come and talk to us rather than just, I don't want to name names, Greg, but the people that are going to national media and they're telling a certain story, and the national media seems to be quite happy to carry this story when anybody on the ground here in Donegal knows it's anything but. That that RTE have been told, people are able to fully rebuild their houses within the cost of the scheme, which is absolute horse manure. It's rubbish. But it's one of many problems we are facing. Now, as I've told everybody that I speak to recently, I consider us lucky. If the worst thing that's going to happen to us, that we're going to have to come up with 30 or 40 or 50,000 to get through this, I don't see that as a huge problem because it's only money.
Yeah.
If this was going to start affecting us physically or mentally, which it is with so many people in this county, I would consider that a much bigger problem.
Can we talk a little bit about the physical and emotional impact of trying to work through the scheme even, let alone how it feels when you find out that you have it, that you're on that list, that you sort of, the little bit of denial about settling cracks or whatever, that a lot of people
we
have gone
certainly
through.
were in denial for a while.
when the reality sets in and you realise that you've got this journey ahead of you, and then when you do try and engage with this scheme that you're told is great and is a good scheme, but at every turn it feels like it's not. It is tough. We're only human, aren't we? It's tough to deal with all of that emotion. And it does impact then on your emotional and physical health.
Yeah, and look, Greg, like anybody, we've had our ups and downs in life. But you get to a point where you feel like you're just banging your head off a brick wall, pardon the pun, but you get the feeling like you're absolutely getting nowhere. Yeah. And our public representatives stand up and they tell everybody what a great job they're doing and how much they're helping, and they're not. They're just not, Greg. We're in a desperate situation.
But Gareth, just on that, you see, and maybe this is the reason they are not, because if you speak privately to some, they do believe it is a good scheme, and encourage people to get on it and say it is a scheme, it's working, it's got some teething problems, but this is a good scheme. That is the view of potentially some of the people that you're talking of. If that's what they believe, that's what they believe. So maybe that's why.
Well, Greg, you know what?
Yeah.
You let any one of them come on the radio with anybody from Engineers Ireland and have that conversation, Greg.
Maybe
And
that's
then
a
you'll
worthwhile. Maybe that's a worthwhile move for it. In terms of you talked of a shortfall. This is not going to be a 100% scheme for you and your family, Gareth. I think you've kind of accept that. Is that the case, or?
Oh yeah, we are fully aware of that, and I mean, like we've pretty much exhausted all the money we have so far. We've a few quid left, and even with the fact that the portal isn't currently open, we have been advised that we like I said, we're moving out in a week and a half. We have been advised, and we've already paid a deposit and March's rent for the place we're moving into. We've been advised that we should prepare to pay April's rent, because it could be sometime in April before this portal is reopened.
Right, okay. And just in terms of how, Gareth, you can progress with this build, I mean, obviously notwithstanding the issues that you've talked about, you're moving out. Have you got a timescale for demolition and rebuild? And how does it work with a contractor in terms of sort of, the payments for them and what have you? If any of that leaks into your private information, ignore the question, Gareth. That's not what I'm not trying to ask your ins and outs of your finances, but I'm just curious in your experience so far of the scheme.
Yeah, well, what I have heard now, and I must say just anecdotally from talking to people, is that there are contractors that are taking on jobs and are commencing work, and then due to the limitations of the scheme are having to stop because they're not getting the money they need. Because not everybody has, tens of thousands of euros sitting about to facilitate this kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know anyone that has it, but that's just, you find yourself in your sort of similar situation with your friends group and family group, don't you? Okay, Gareth, we're going to make some inquiries about the opening of this portal. I mean, I don't know what we can say. Just the question marks over the storage and whether that's a refundable cost. Just recap that for me so it's clear what we're asking, Gareth.
Yeah, so what we had to do was we had to clear a space at the back of our garden. We had to move our oil tank down the garden. There was also a cement pad the oil tank was sitting on. We had to rent a Kango to smash all that up. We had to level the area. We had to buy blocks at the cost of about €100 to level the area. This was all work. We spent 3 days at this. This was all work we had to do ourselves. We had the purchase of the shed, which was €4,000. And we've had to buy storage boxes as well, which is about another €400.
And in your head, you're setting that around about the 5k mark by the sounds of it, if not a bit more.
Roughly.
Yeah. And you're being told that maybe that's not going to be covered.
And we're being told we've actually been told, Greg, to prepare an appeal. But then that's another issue because there is no way to appeal these decisions at the moment. So.
All right, okay. Listen,
we try our best.
All right, love and support to you and everyone. We are kind of all in this together, and I think that's what the approach we have to have in this county. But listen, Gareth, thanks I know it's not easy to talk about either, because you're having to face up to the realities, which sometimes we try and avoid to keep ourselves sane, but you can't with this crisis. It's just ever present. Gareth, thanks for your time. Take care of yourself.
Cheers, Greg.
All right, bye-bye, Gareth. Thanks very much. A caller says, and this is an interesting one, when a house is tested, how far apart should the test boreholes be? I was recently looking at a house to buy. The walls are full of cracks on the outside, but the 3 holes were drilled on the same wall, and the test came back no mica. How is that right? Okay, yeah, I can understand the concerns there. I would imagine if it were me purchasing that property, I would want them in different locations, but I don't know what the rules are. But I know there are people listening that will know the answer to that like that, and they'll get in contact with us if you don't mind. So how far apart should the bore holes be, the test holes? Would you have your concerns if you were purchasing a property that had a lot of cracks and the 3 test sites were all on the same wall? 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts to that number.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Are you ready to elevate your driving experience? Look no further than iMotors, your only Nissan dealership in the Northwest. The Nissan X-Trail has been crowned Large SUV of the Year. That's right, it's not just an SUV, it's an award-winning experience on wheels. Available in 4-wheel drive and a 7-seater. Visit us today at imotors.ie to find out more.
Are you building, rebuilding or renovating? What heat pumps or solar panels would suit your build? Come along and speak to the experts, Efficient Renewables on heat pumps and solar panels. Get advice on installation and grants available. Visit the Efficient Renewables showroom in Newton Cunningham and see these products in operation for yourself.
Want to work from home without the worry of dropped connections? What about enjoying a film without any freezing? Do your kids want to be online at the same time? National Broadband Ireland is delivering high-speed fibre broadband under the National Broadband Plan to homes, schools and businesses across rural Ireland. To find out when you can get connected, simply contact one of our broadband providers. We have almost 50. Or check your air code at nbi.ie. NBI, building a limitless Ireland, supported by the Government of Ireland.
Mike Denver in concert with guests Declan Ernie and Brendan Shine at Angrinan Theatre, Letterkenny on Thursday, February 29th. Tickets on sale at Angrinan Box Office. That's Mike Denver with Declan Ernie and Brendan Shine at Angrinan Theatre, Letterkenny on Thursday, February 29th. Don't miss a great concert.
Forward Emphasis International are actively recruiting for customer service advisors with both in-office and hybrid opportunities available in our Mellonhead and Buncrana locations. Fully funded insurance and financial services qualifications delivering attractive career path opportunities are available. Please visit their website www.forwardemphasis.ie and apply via their careers page.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air to water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
Rightio, today will be mainly dry and sunny, clouding in during the afternoon with patches of light rain or drizzle developing later. Highest temperatures of 9 to 11 degrees and light to moderate westerly winds becoming southerly and freshening later. 08660 25,000, which is the WhatsApp and text number. Now, as you would be aware, there's a story that we are covering extensively on this programme because it's so important, and that is a change in the process of special education teacher allocation to primary schools across Ireland. It was set out in a circular issued earlier this year. Now, the concern being that, and it's not a concern actually, it's a fact stated by the Minister with responsibility, that a third of schools will lose set hours as they've been described. Marie Hurley is a mum and teacher and joins us on the programme now. Thank you. I beg your pardon. I'll come back to Marie. There's something else playing here in the background, which is my fault. Marie, can you hear me now? I wonder. Are you there?
Yes, Greg, I'm here. Good
Thank
morning.
you so very much indeed. Right, okay. Marie, from your perspective, what do you see as the main problems, the main concerns here?
I think it's a dreadful situation, Greg, and I was just listening back to Emma, whom you had on last week, who's also a teacher and a mother of a little girl with complex needs like myself. And I'm just going to echo what she said, in that this is going to pit children against each other, parents against each other, and place schools and principals and decision makers at school level in a really, really difficult situation. My child has a recent diagnosis of rheumatoid arthritis on top of her Down syndrome diagnosis, which means that her motor skills, using her fingers and her ability to walk, are quite delayed and quite a challenge for her. Therefore, she also has complex needs of a different nature to those which Emma's child would have. But there are other children going to school who don't have Down syndrome, who also have complex needs. And our constitution and our morals and common decency would dictate that everybody in the year 2024 is entitled to an education, to meet them where they're at, and to bring them on to reach their full potential.
Marie, I don't want to ruin your flow there, but I mean, if you don't know or see actually children with complex needs, how can you assign the correct amount of set hours to any particular school if you don't see those people, if you don't count them, if you don't acknowledge them?
Well, your last word there is perfect. They are no longer being acknowledged. So therefore, this is the same as not accounting for them. This is the same as ignoring them. This is diluting the provision that helps them And I think I would go as far as saying that this is going to create a two-tier system in school. Teachers will be left scratching their heads and wondering how they're going to provide for children who are now going to become, and I'm using finger quotes here, a problem, a challenge, a difficulty, something they don't have adequate resources to deal with. Meanwhile, as Emma said, and as lots of people have been saying online and in real life, this is going to leave those children on the fringes who still have needs. They're going to be unprovided for, not provided for, not served either.
Marie, can I ask a question
children
too?
From typical households, Greg, are also going to miss out.
Yeah, of course, but say, for instance, Marie, like parents or guardians or a mix with a child with complex needs, additional needs, if they had them enrolled in a mainstream school for September, what are they thinking now? You know, or what is the school going to say to them now? Because before this most recent circular went out, there would have been perhaps a reasonable expectation that there would be enough set hours to cover their needs and the needs of other children. I'm just wondering, has this changed the position now for parents and guardians and schools who had children with complex needs enrolled for this coming September?
Absolutely. It has utterly changed the whole landscape for everyone who goes to school, and most particularly for those people who have a child with complex needs. I have a petition started online, Greg, to try and reverse this situation. And as a result of that, I have had so many messages from parents all over the country, many of them from people with children with complex needs who are terrified. And that's their word. That's the word that's coming up most often. They are terrified at the prospect of what September is going to bring.
But I think it's also important that it's not just the parents of children with complex needs. I think every parent has to take an interest in this.
And that's that's what I'm at pains to stress. And I'm so sorry to speak over you, Greg, but really this needs to be said too. Every child is going to be impacted, because I know if my little girl does not get the support she needs going forward, she is going to find school incredibly challenging. She's going to be more of a challenge in the classroom for her teacher, for the SNA, and for all of the other children. And that is going to upset the apple cart. And I, as a parent, do not want to be singling my child out as the reason for distress for everyone else in that room. That is utterly unacceptable. And that, to me, is putting her in a position that she should never be put in. If everybody's equal, if we value all children, if we cherish them, and if they're all entitled to their education, they should goddamn be getting it. Excuse my anger. This is really, really awful. And I don't think the ordinary parent out there understands that their child will also be impacted by this. And if every parent and every person who loves a child who goes to school, be it their niece, their nephew, their grandson, their granddaughter, their neighbour's child, everybody is going to feel the brunt of this cut. And in the middle of the circular, Greg, is a beautiful sentence that's very carefully worded. And if it was one or two words changed, it would be blatant discrimination against children with complex needs. It basically says that there are special schools and special classes, and many children with complex needs attend those schools. Now, I'm wondering, is there a next sentence that's missing, which says everyone with complex needs should go there now because they're no longer going to be provided for in their local school? Now, that is crazy. There aren't enough places in special schools. There aren't enough special classes attached to mainstream schools to accommodate those children. And if we send them all to those schools, isn't that segregation? And utterly the opposite of inclusion. And I thought we were moving forward to a more inclusive society. Josepha Madigan was on the radio before Christmas talking about all the new special schools and saying that the NCSE, which is the National Council for Special Education, which is a wing of the Department for Education, Josepha Madigan said, in her role as the Minister for those with special needs, that there would be provision for all these children in their local schools in the years to come. Now, obviously, she can't say it's going to happen in 10 years or whatever, but that's their objective as a department. Well, how is that their objective if 2 months later, after she made that statement, Norma Foley comes out as the Minister for Education and cuts everything for children with complex needs?
Okay. Marie,
it's ridiculous.
This is a story, obviously, that we're committed to following through on, and we appreciate your time.
Please do, Greg, and thank you so much for all the coverage. And again, I'm so sorry for speaking over you. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
people hear my voice all the time. It's important that you're heard, and it's important the situation of your child and you and your family and all children are heard as well. And that's what we'll continue to do here. Thank you so much for your time.
Not at all. Thanks a million, Greg.
Bye, Marie. That's Marie Hurley, mum and teacher as well. So has that sort of double experience of that situation. Listen, we're going to get in contact with the local minister and the minister with responsibility, the education minister, to try and get interviews, as we will. We'll let you know how that goes, but that's what we're going to try and do and try and get answers as well.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
An unbelievable clearance sale is now on at Foy's in Everkenny and Ballybuffet, with massive reductions to make way for new arrivals. There's up to 70% off selected furniture display models, up to 50% off designer display curtains, and up to 50% off rolls of fabric, plus many more great savings. The sale won't last long, so call in store to Foy's in Everkenny or Ballybuffet today.
If you need a new laptop, enjoy super fast performance and seamless multitasking with Avita laptops at Ben Sweeney Euronics. Avita laptops are equipped with advanced processors and ample RAM, so they handle everything from work to entertainment with ease. They come with a 2-year warranty and prices starting at only €449. For more details, pop in and see us at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Ford Road, Letterkenny, or in the shopping centre, Dunlow.
At Cooney's Home Interiors, we pride ourselves on offering you the very best in choice, quality and value on all home furnishings. Treat your home with a visit to Cooney's today and choose from our large range of suites, tables, beds, not to mention our large selection of home accessories. Our motto is, if you see it, you can buy it, and we will deliver it to your door. Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny Retail Park. Style and perfection at incredible value.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 71 87 8077 or online spacehubdairy.com for more details.
Join Home Instead and make a difference in older people's lives. Home Instead Hiring Week is Monday the 19th to Friday the 23rd of February. For event details or to apply now, visit careers.homeinstead.ie.
Home Instead, to us it's personal.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty at the news desk at 10 o'clock. An Inishowen councillor says he hopes progress on the provision of daycare services in Carndonagh and the retention of supervised residential unit support at Rarknasleitch can be made now that industrial action by Forza has ceased. Councillor Albert Doherty says questions he submitted in early November will get responses in the next meeting of the North West Regional Health Forum. That's on the 27th of February. Councillor Doherty says it's been a long wait for those who are affected.
Let's reflect in early October. The local community hall was packed to capacity, where the local people wanted to see action. The Restoration of Carndonagh Daycare Committee have set up a Facebook page, and since that there have been over 4,000 hits with people reading that information. I just take it there is support for restoration, for the re-establishment of this service.
The regional chair of the Irish Farmers Association says that for quality, safe local food, Irish farmers need better support. The body will be staging a protest outside Donegal County Council special plenary meeting this Wednesday as part of a national action. Speaking to Greg Hughes on this morning's 9 till noon show, Frank Brady believes Irish farmers should be better paid and are under too much pressure from government about the environment.
So there is a need there for make sure that if somebody's going farming, that there's a proper income. And they'll do the hours, they'll do everything else, but they do need to be rewarded for the work. And we do produce carbon-friendly food. We're the best producer of milk in Europe, and we're the fifth best for beef. Nobody can produce it like we do, and less rewards for it. We don't want a big margin, but we just want to be rewarded, and the government has to stand up.
Machinery was stolen from a farm on the Glen Sheen Road on Thursday last. PSNI are investigating after a suspicious vehicle was observed in the area at around 4 a.m. It was then realised a number of items had been stolen, such as a galvanised silver log splitter, a Nugent bale spike and a bale lifter. The total value of all those stolen is around £3,000. Police in Strabane are asking those who believe they have information to get in touch. A list of full items stolen can be found online. There are calls for school bus transport scheme to be radically reformed. Thousands of more pupils are set to become eligible for a bus place for the 2025 academic year under new plans being finalised by the Education Minister. However, the price of annual tickets are expected to increase. Social Democrat spokesperson for Climate and Children, Jennifer Whitmore, says more significant changes are needed.
And what we really needed to see from that review, rather than just an expansion of the scheme to bring in a few more thousand children into the scheme, what we needed to see was a complete overhaul of the school transport scheme, because it's really not working for thousands of children across the country every year.
Looking now to weather, today will be mainly dry and sunny, clouding during the afternoon with patches of light rain or drizzle developing later. Highest temperatures of 9 to 11 degrees in light to moderate westerly winds, becoming southerly and freshening later. That's all for now from Highland Radio News, back again at 11 o'clock. The obituary notices this Monday morning, February 19th. The death has taken place of Harry Diver, Carnagarv, Moville. Funeral arrangements to be confirmed later. The death has taken place of Antoinette Boyce, ní Doherty, Gulladuff, Moville. Antoinette's remains will leave Liam Collins Funeral Home, Station Road, Carndonagh this evening. Funeral arrangements to be confirmed later. Family time please from 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. The death has taken place of Billy Doherty, White Castle, Quigley's Point. House strictly private please. Funeral arrangements to be confirmed later. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Foyle Sea and Rescue care of any family member. The death has taken place of Maurice Devaney, Lustigal Carrigans. His remains are reposing at his sister Margaret Devaney's home at Monis St Johnson. Funeral leaving there tomorrow afternoon at 1:15. For 2 p.m. funeral service at Tophboyne Parish Church, Carrigans, followed by burial in the family plot in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu to Medical 5, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of Terence McClintock, Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Mary McBurty, ní McDade, 9 Letterkenny Road, Lifford, and formerly Maharacloy St Johnston, reposing at her home. Funeral leaving her home tomorrow morning at 10:20 a.m. for Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Murlog, Lifford at 11 a.m. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time please from 11 p.m. tonight. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Joe Doherty, Jack, Malin, Carndonagh. His remains are reposing at his home. Funeral leaving there on Wednesday morning at 10:30, going to the Sacred Heart Church, Carndonagh for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m, followed by burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Joe's Requiem Mass can be viewed live on the parish webcam. House private please from 10 p.m. until 11 a.m. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to University Hospital Galway's Patients Comfort Fund, care of Kelly's Funeral Directors or any family member. The death has taken place of Linda McLean, ní Platt, Tullybogley, Manor Cunningham. Her remains are reposing at her late residence. Funeral leaving there this afternoon at 1:30 for 2 p.m. funeral service in Ray Presbyterian Church, followed by burial in the family plot in the adjoining graveyard. House private to family and friends. Family flowers only. Donations in lieu if desired to Ray Presbyterian Sunday School, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Father George McLaughlin, PPVS, late of Drumaware Road, Greencastle, retired parish priest of Moville. Father George's remains are reposing at St Pius X Church, Moville, where you're welcome to pay your respects. Requiem Mass today at 12 noon, followed by burial in Ballybrack Graveyard. Funeral can be viewed live on movilleparish.com. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Before you settle on a new hybrid, take the Nissan Qashqai e-Power Challenge. The Nissan Qashqai e-Power is a hybrid, so you don't have to plug in. But unlike other hybrids, it always drives in electric mode. You get the superior, smooth and quiet driving experience of an electric car all of the time. Take the Nissan Qashqai e-Power Challenge at your local Nissan dealer today. You'll never look back. Nissan, innovation that excites.
And now, IMRO's 2023 Best Local Original News Programme, The Voice of the Northwest, the 9 till noon show with Greg Hughes.
You're very welcome along to the programme. Good morning if you're just after joining us, and thanks for sticking around if you've been with us since the top of the hour. In the first hour of the show, we're covering issues that are important to the people of County Donegal. We were talking about the changes to the criteria for the appointment of special education teachers, which is going to affect every school in this county. We were speaking to a gentleman who's very frustrated and concerned about the defective concrete portal and access to it. It's affecting hundreds and thousands of people right across this county. And we were also talking about the plight of farmers in Donegal and elsewhere. So if you didn't tune in for the first hour, that's what you missed, because we're here covering the issues that are important to us here in the Northwest. Coming up after 11 o'clock, a little later on, by the way, we are going to be having a debate on March 8th referendums. So if you are unsure about it or any questions in relation to it, please get in touch with us and share your views. 086 60 25,000. I think we're all sort of getting into that process now where we're trying to see the wood for the trees. But as I said, also interested in those of you who may think it's a waste of time and not interested in it either. All right, I'm going to get to some comments, then we'll have the bingo numbers for you. Morning, Greg. The government seem to have no end to the millions of pounds or euros being paid for new hospital for the new hospital in Dublin, which still has yet no end in sight. But cutting all the services for everyday life, no problem, they say. Thank you. The woman, Marie, is making so much sense. Good on her. And it's a joke how money is squandered. I drop children at a school and I know a bus driver dropping off one Ukrainian child every day, and he drive quite a distance to do so. And all other Irish children walking or their parents paying someone to drop them off. I've nothing against Ukrainians, but it's a joke. Let the government look after our own people as well as others. People with children with special needs have a tough enough time without fighting all the time for what they're entitled to. Personally, for me, I get everything that you're saying there. I would be familiar with similar stories as to what you've just outlined there, but I can't compare. All children should be treated equally to me, in my opinion, and I'm sure you're of that opinion too. Greg, we have a business commercial building falling to bits with defective concrete, yet we are still expected to pay rates. I mean, how could that be? It's falling to bits, the commercial property. And I think the owners of commercial properties, farm buildings and what have you, and community halls will have probably felt a little bit unheard throughout all of this, because, of course, we're also talking about people's houses. And, you know, people are so gracious. People who are struggling, like that listener there with a commercial property or a farmer, with an outbuilding that's falling to bits as well. Often they want to highlight their situation with us, but they don't want to come on air because they say, and this is how gracious they are, well, listen, it's not our house, and there's an awful lot of people there that are kind of worried about their property, and we don't really feel that, you know what I mean? And I think, as I say, it's gracious, but there are also people who need to be spoken to as well. Good morning. At the minute, all we're hearing about is recycling, which is great, but my concern is that we're paying high fees for this. 1 week it's domestic waste, then week 2 it's recycling and food waste. Last Wednesday I watched a local bin company collect all waste in one lorry: domestic, recycling and good food waste. All 3 bins were emptied into the one lorry. So would all the recycling be cross-contaminated and wasted? So why are we paying 2 charges for bin collection when all is being wasted? wasted. I've heard that and witnessed that myself, where all the bins go into the one bin lorry. Not sure what the ins and outs of that are, but it doesn't feel right. Can I ask, actually, we're a couple of months in, or a couple of weeks in now, to this recycling of plastic bottles and what have you. Are any of you doing it successfully? Is there any good news stories about that? Or even maybe you've had problems whereby the bottles aren't being recognised or what? I don't know. But as I say, you know, there's a lot of conversation and talk in the lead up to it. Maybe your children have really embraced it and it's their pocket money or something. I don't know. But a couple of weeks in, what's your experience been of the deposit return scheme? I'd be really interested, and I think we all would be interested actually to get some views on that. So have you been engaged in the deposit return scheme? Is it working great for you or your family? Or maybe you have tried it, it didn't work, wasted time, whatever it might be. As I say, it'd be interesting to get a sample of what's going on now. Hi, Greg. The argument in favour of farmers is very simple. Do we want to have national food production, self-sufficiency or not? Are we going to price our own farmers out of the industry and become dependent on corporate food production? Surely food self-sufficiency should be a prime issue of national security. Food security, yeah. I mean, when others control our food, we've seen what can happen there. So, yeah, there's a strong argument that we should be independent in that regard. Greg, that man is there a very long time and the store seems to be doing nothing about him. This is the person standing outside a particular store looking for change. I assume it's because he's on the footpath and there's nothing that they can do. Regarding the RTE lump sum payments, €2 million was handed out between 5 people, 450,000 for one person's payoff. TV licence abolishment is one thing, but RTE should be taken off air completely. The Oireachtas committee is futile. RTE still do what they want. There are so many Irish people struggling, and for people to get that kind of money is outrageous, they say. Greg and Frank, there's a global agenda to wipe out small farmers so that the elites can leave us no choice but to eat their processed insects, says Mary. OK, back with more after the numbers.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Monday the 19th of February. You're playing on the green sheet. The reference number is S16. It's game number 8. The numbers are 17, 67, 36, 4, 87, 81, 19, 20, 13, and finally 73. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com. Relay for Life Donegal is back and is now open for team registrations. As a community, we relay together to celebrate cancer survivorship, remember those we've lost and fight back by raising awareness. Will you join us? Gather your friends and family and enter your team. Register today at DonegalRelayForLife.com. Together, we can make a difference.
With a high digital online skills course, you'll feel a real difference.
I can listen to all the music I like. The bus app that's coming out, it's brilliant.
Anything you want to know, it's at their fingertips.
They're small things, but they mean something.
Learn essential online skills with simple, accessible lessons at highdigital.ie or free phone 1800 20 30 30. Brought to you by Vodafone Foundation and Alone. Vodafone. Together we can.
Choose life. Choose fun. Choose not sitting at home getting bored. Choose something better. Something really fun. Choose Fundamania. Coming to the Brunswick Movie Bowl from March 1st. Choose regular, junior or family wristbands and enjoy some of Europe's top thrill rides. Choose fun for all ages. A legendary Fundamania event, 1st to the 17th of March. For details, see fundamania.co.uk.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Now, having been first elected to Buncrana Town Council in 1994 and elected Mayor of Buncrana in 96 and again in 2011, and elected President of the Association of Municipals of Ireland in 2006, and in 2019 elected Mayor of Inishowen. that and more accolades. Councillor Nicholas Crossan has decided to, I don't know, you don't hang up your boots. I don't know what you hang up when you're a politician, but decided not to seek re-election. 3 decades in public life. Councillor Crossan, a tough call for you, a tough decision to make?
Good morning, Greg. Good morning, listeners. Yes, Greg, probably one of the toughest decisions that I made in my life. As I said, it's very, very difficult to walk away from something that you really love doing.
Now, it's up to you to decide when you want to announce it or when you want this to become public. But it's not that long ago. I think you were on the Friday panel and I asked if you were seeking re-election. At that time, you were. Were you wobbling at that point? But as I say, it's your prerogative to decide when to announce it, right? But had you been thinking about it for some time, or was this actually a more recent decision?
No, I have been thinking about it, Greg, but I felt duty bound that I established independent grouping within the county councils in Ireland, and I felt duty bound to inform them the same time as I informed the people of Donegal. I knew we had a meeting coming up last Wednesday and Thursday in Arklow, and I said that was a good opportunity for myself to inform the most loyal band of people that I've ever worked with, Greg. So I felt duty bound to tell them, and when I got into the room, the press releases went to Donegal, and I told them at the same time. So that was a good way to go out.
Yeah, for sure. If this is a pie chart, where's the positive and where's the negative in the 30 years for you? Because it's a thankless task at times, much of the time.
Yeah, funny. Somebody said at the conference we were at, one of the speakers said, you're a community worker until you get elected, and then when you become elected, then you become the opposition. Like I've been involved in the communities since actually before I left school and various different items in Buncrana, and I enjoy working with people. And it was, I suppose, a national progression on Tony Yiller, an independent town councillor, and we canvassed for him in the by-election in 76. That's 48 years ago. Tony resigned, I think, 85. His daughter took over to 94, and I seen an opening then for a seat in Buncrana, and that's what I ran for then. I wanted to carry on the work, I suppose, that he was doing as well, and enlarge my own issues and my own ideas, make the council more clear to the people, clarity, transparency, let the public know what was happening in the council chambers.
And in relation to that, did you ever have aspirations above council level? Did you ever, were you ever approached, or did you ever, and this may be on the public record, I just don't have the information in my head at this time, you never contested a national election, did you?
No.
And did you ever get close, or did you ever have a desire to?
Very briefly, in 2016, there was a general election then followed by a Shannon election. So when I formed the independent group in Ireland, you probably need to get into Shannon. You need about somewhere between 80 and 120, 30 votes, depending on what panel we're on. And for about a couple of months, I thought of running for the Shannon myself. And how I changed my mind, I was out around the beach in Buncrana one day, I walked myself and my 2 wee dogs, and I said to myself, what in under God would I be doing sitting up in Dublin when I could do so much in Donegal? So I went home and told my wife, I said, no, I'm not running for the Shannon. And I called a meeting of our own group and said, no, I wasn't running. But since then, we got 3 independent senators elected Shannon Ireland. For the first time ever in 2016, we got an independent with outside the university panels. But I think it was a great achievement, and since then we've got three altogether independent senators.
Where do you think we are politically now compared to where we were in terms of, the power or influence of local politics? I mean, you were in Buncrana Town Council, and we had Letterkenny Town Council, and then we had the Ballyshannon
Town Commissioners and Bundoran
Town Council, and then now we have the municipal districts, and and even coming down to the county development plan, one of the most recent conversations we're having, it's really whatever the will of the council, it really is actually up to a person nationally to decide the direction we go in that regard. Has there been that's one example, but has there been a significant watering down in your view of, both I mean, obviously with the loss of the town councils, but generally with the role of the council, even like you could talk about water responsibility going to Irish Water and what have you. Do you feel that you can affect less change now than you might have in the past, really, as an elected rep?
Yes, 100% what you're saying, Greg. Our powers has been diminished, and that's what we've been talking about. Because if you want local politicians and people to make decisions at local level, you must give more power to the councillors. The power of the councillor has been constantly eroded. And I think that's where we're getting mixed up. And we do get mixed up in Donegal County Council because meeting after meeting, we get motions coming in, which in my opinion are national motions, which has nothing to do with Donegal County Council. And we ourselves, we're handing power to the national, the senators and the TDs to take over from ourselves because they're looking on their votes for the next time out. But the erosion of county councillors has 100%. What we have to do now is pass the budget, the development plan, no matter what we put in the development plan. If the OPR doesn't like it, they send it on to the minister, and if the minister agrees with the OPR, they can change our plan. So I keep saying, where is it our plan? It's not really our plan. We can try our best to get it in, but at the end of the day,
it's going to be different
powers.
Yeah, it's going to be a different council, and I won't hold you, but I think we should have a chat in the future. 30 years in politics, there's a lot of stories in there, and we've there's been, we could probably have a good chat about that down the line, but it's going to be a different council, at least 5 people. There's yourself, 2 Sinn Féin reps, Tom Conahan down in Donegal Town as well, and who is to say who may announce. What way do you think the council needs to look post June elections?
Well, that's up to the people. And as I have said from day one, the electorate are not a silly people. They do elect. Everybody elects the government or the councillors they get. But I have great faith in the people of Donegal to elect the right candidate, somebody to represent them. And I would encourage people to come out and vote in June in the local elections and have your say. Don't be sitting on the fence. 50% now of the people are not voting. And that trend is going in the wrong direction. I would encourage, and I'd also encourage a lot of community candidates to go forward and put their name on the ballot paper and go forward for election.
And finally, is that it? Or are you going to ensure that the Christmas lights are switched on within a millisecond of the time announced? What's the future hold?
That kind of has stuck. All right. No, I'll not be walking. Look, when you live in a town like Buncrana, you're never too far away
I've
from the
spoken to former
public.
politicians who would never come back, that they sort of went back to, being part of the community. You're an independent anyway, but even those with a political affiliation sort of, being able to drift into being apolitical, if you know what I mean, and would never return to elected politics again because they feel they can have so much more influence and what have you, in the community rather than, as you say, it's quite an interesting way you put it, that post-election, then you become the opposition. Pre-election, I'd say you're looking forward to getting back to that to that role, doing what you do, but not with the moniker of councillor.
Yes, look, Greg, be under no illusion. I enjoyed being a town councillor for 20 years and the county council for 30. I enjoyed every minute of it. I enjoy helping people and as you well know, I enjoy talking to people as well. But somebody said to me only yesterday, somebody says, there is a time for everything and everything has a time. And I think it was a great statement for it. And I think there's the old song, you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them and when to walk away. So I would just, and Greg, before, in case that you do, I'd like to first of all say a big thanks to my wife and my family for putting up for 30 years. I mean, it is a huge sacrifice. When I started out as a town councillor, I was a bread man with 2 young children. And now I'm retired with 3 adults. 3 adult children, if you want to call them that, they're spread all over the place. So it has been a huge, rather more entailed for me. It's just a huge turn of life. But it was, would I swap it for anything else? No way. No. Will I be sad when June comes? Yes, I will be. But I think I've done my part, and I think that I would encourage somebody else to take up the mantle now and go for it.
Yeah, and in relation to families and friends, they of course they feel every up, but they feel every down too. on a very personal level too. So it's a big sacrifice for anyone in a family, because there's peaks and troughs, but they feel that we all feel the troughs with those we love, more personally and deeply than we might the highs. Not, they're there for the highs too. But I hope you know what I'm saying.
We did talk about that before, Greg, and it was brought up at a conference too. The abuse on Facebook of county councillors. That is not, we can take a bit, but once it starts goes onto families, then it's something totally different, So, and I do feel sorry. What about the abuse
on air? One of the biggest announcements that you've made now, as it turns out, towards the end of your tenure, is that some people don't like me, and I'm still waiting on the list. That was the big revelation from last week. You could have dropped the bombshell that you were retiring from politics, but instead you decided to hit me in the ghoulies with that one.
I wish you know me, Greg. I'm no better than yourself. I wouldn't let you go away without a good jag.
Come here, have a goodie. All right, and best wishes to you and your family. Take care of yourself.
Greg, thanks very much thank you very much, Greg.
All right, take care. Bye-bye, Nicholas. Councillor Nicholas Crossan there. He's one of a number of politicians now that are choosing to go. And I know people are... I know that we are all very opinionated, and we form our opinions, and we have our views of maybe elected reps or not, but fundamentally we are all neighbours and humans at the end of the day. And I've had my scuffles on air with Nicholas in the past and what have you, but no matter who it is in this county or whoever I've dealt with, we're all neighbours, and we're all part of the same community and not friends. That sounds like I'm saying we're not friends. I don't really have any politicians that are friends, if you know what I mean. But anyway, my point being is that I still wish anyone the very, very best, and would never hold any ill feeling or grudges or anything like that. Neither would Nicholas or any of the other, or most of the other elected representatives. So we wish him. My point I'm trying to make is that at the end of the day, I wish everyone the very best going forward, not least Councillor Crossan there. Happy 8th birthday to Peter Patton. He's in Maharaboy, Letterkenny, from Kathy, Tim, Matthew, Harry, and who's the third, fourth, fifth? Holly. Okay, happy birthday to you, Peter. Peter Patton. I love names with Peter Patton, Hudson Hughes, Finn Fury. Double lettered names sound cool, I think. All right, okay. So let's get some clarity about the situation as it relates to accessing the various portals or what have you in relation to defective concrete scheme. Councillor Martin McDermott has joined us at short notice. Appreciate it, Martin. How are you getting on?
Good morning, Greg. So, am I your friend, or is it
but I knew as soon as I said that, it's like, yes, of course, all friends. We're all friends. Me and you bump into each other. I like you. You know, I don't know what you think about me, but yeah, we are, because we're all part of the one community here.
I like you too.
All right, okay. Well, come here, put in a good word for me. Anyway, come here. My Councillor Martin McDermott's also chair of the Defective Blocks Committee with Donegal County Council. So, just to be clear for all of us, how many portals are there that people at the beginning of this scheme, Martin, people would be accessing?
So the scheme as it sits at the moment, so the portal that was there was the portal from the old 9010 scheme. So when the new scheme came in back in mid-July of last year, that portal had to be updated to all the new regulations, all the new legislation that was coming in, because a lot of it changed. There was the availability of second homes, how the information was inputted, particularly for showing that you're the principal private resident. That changed to MPRN was involved in, Aircode was involved in. So there's quite a bit of work to be done, plus all the recalculations of all the applications had to be redone as well. Now, the new portal that they've been working on here now, and Greg, I will say that, you know, this is taking longer than expected, absolutely, and it is a problem for families. I know that. I get the calls every day on this, but the new portal, particularly for payments and for ancillary monies, will be a lot more streamlined and a lot more simpler. That portal was to be up and running after Christmas. There was IT issues that had to be resolved. They have now been resolved. There's also quite a bit of information to be inputted into that portal from applications that's already in with the council that has to be uploaded. The information has to be done so that when it goes live, that Martin McDermott or Greg Hughes can go onto their portal and their information is there then. Now, I've had conversations, lots of conversations over the last few weeks on this. I had another conversation this morning, and I'm told that if not by the end of this week, certainly by next Monday morning, the new system will be ready and go live.
So if people have, before we get to what the situation is going forward, there are a few people caught in a bit of a purgatory on this, though, between the old portal and the new portal. And this is where it's going to start getting complex. And I hope people don't tune out because this is really quite important. And there's 300 families affected by this, circa 300 families affected by this. So what is the sort of the in-between that they find themselves in, Martin, just for clarity?
Well, I suppose applicants and at the minute there's, as you know, there's 43 houses completely finished. There's about 70 commencement notice submitted to Donegal County Council. So 70 people have said we're ready to start work. A number of them have started work, and as of today, about a couple of weeks ago, there was a serious issue here with people that had started work and couldn't actually access the scheme to get their money. We met 2 weeks ago with the council to discuss how we could move this forward. So then what they said that they would contact those people. If they send in their information, they can email their information in by email, and that they would pay them, and they are getting paid today. So those families are getting their money, the ones that were in the situation where they started work.
So does this reference what we heard earlier on, the situation some find themselves in, that they got contractors on site, they were doing the work, but no money forthcoming. They also have to pay the bills, so maybe moved on to another job. You're saying those that have the correct documentation and all in should start receiving some of their stage payments today then?
Yes, that's correct. And again, if there's families out there, that are in that position, email that onto Defective Concrete Blocks, because it will be done manually until this is up and running, because we can't, under no circumstances, Greg, can we have, contractors waiting the money. And I know there's issues there and there's issues with getting paperwork on, but the most important thing is that we do get money, particularly to contractors, because this is, contractors are out a lot of money at the start of this, and they need to be able to get their money on a very, very quick timeline. And that is something that, the new system that's coming in will really help with. It'll really make it more simpler so that they can get their money within a couple of weeks of submitting documentation to Donegal County Council.
Now, there are a group of people, the same group of people, is it, that will not get fees back? What fees are we talking about, and why not?
Yeah, so there are a situation there with fees. So go back to December of 2022, the Minister made a recommendation to pay the fees to everyone that was waiting on fees, whether you had your application determined or not. Now, anyone that submitted their application after that date would have not got their fees back.
These are testing fees, are they?
These are testing fees, yeah. So when the new scheme come on, anybody that applied now to the new scheme don't have those testing fees. So those testing fees are absorbed by the housing agency.
Yeah.
But anyone that, say, come in January, February, March, April of 2023 would not have got their fees back. Now, we had a delegation with the department just before Christmas. Myself and Councillor McGuinness and Councillor Doherty met with the department. The department have committed that they will allow the local authority to pay back those fees to people, whether they have a recommendation or not, because I suppose the problem here, Greg, is that the housing agency now are looking at those, and they're putting that determination that they'll come back to you, say maybe on the third quarter of this year or the fourth quarter of this year, and that means that you couldn't get your money back until there was a recommendation made. But the department have committed that they will allow the local authority to pay back those fees. Now, they haven't sent that in writing to the local authority yet. Now, we were back onto them last week, and they said that they would have something to the local authority within the next 2 weeks.
But is everyone going to get their fees back, or is there that window?
Well, everyone should have their fees back, apart from those families that came into the scheme.
But they will get them. They will get them?
They will get them back,
Okay,
yeah. But
right.
anybody that was in the scheme so anybody that had already applied to the scheme pre the 13th of December of 2020 should have got their fees back anyway, because they're eligible to get their fees back. This is only for the people that fell after that date. So the fact that no one pays fees now, bar their building addition assessment, I mean, it's only right that those people should get their fees back, and should get their fees back right away.
Okay, this might cover this texter then. Hi, Greg. Could you ask Martin what's happening re people who applied for the old scheme and are having their engineer's fee deducted from the 420? They're being greatly disadvantaged compared to someone applying now to the new scheme who do not lose out on this money. Thanks. That's literally what we've just been talking about, I believe. You're saying...
No, that's another different situation, Greg, again, from what we were talking about. So... again, this was something we discussed and met with the department on, because the fees that someone paid. So if I was on the old scheme, I paid the fees out myself. I got those fees back. When the recalculation was being done of my costs, that fee was being taken out of my recalculation. So we went back, had a conversation with the directors and service and the council on this, and we went back to the department and says, look, that's not fair. That can't be right. How can I be punished my $6,000 now when someone coming into the new scheme doesn't have to pay that $6,000? So if me and you had the same size of house, if me and you had a 2,000 square foot house tomorrow morning, and I was getting 300,000 and you were getting 300,000, I was getting 294,000 and you were getting 300,000. So that was unfair. So that was sorted, and they said no, the fees would not be taken out. But someone that's over the £420,000 mark, the fees are not taken out of that. Now, there is a situation if you hit the 420, you drop back to your fees at 413. Again, I don't feel that that's correct, and I've had a conversation with the council on Thursday and Friday about this. We've sent correspondence to the department to say, look, anyone that's getting the 420 be getting the full entitlement of 420,000, and that six shouldn't be coming out of that. So I would hope that will be rectified in the next few days.
Still a work in progress. Where are we at in terms of the whole debate about inner leaves, foundations? You know, you would be, of course, very familiar with the recent science and what have you. Engineers perhaps being reluctant to stand over outer leaf only when we know there's, you know, defective elements to the concrete in the internal, and it will deteriorate. It's just about time, and also the issue of foundations. Where are we at in relation to that? Because I think there's still an awful lot of people that are not prepared to continue down this road until we have some clarity there.
Yeah, and that's totally understandable. And the foundations aspect of it is something that won't be determined until the National Standards Authority come back with their recommendations. I would think that that's probably going to be early next year. Certainly not going to be. It's not going to be this year. Again, there's a lot of conversations going on, and you know quite well, Greg, that the redress focus group on the banking are having conversations with both the banks, Engineers Ireland, and the insurance companies to make sure that if a house is remediated, that it's both insurable and mortgageable, and they are the two things that you can't remediate a house and not have it insurable or mortgageable. It just doesn't make any sense to anyone to be in a situation like that. So there is a lot of conversations.
With that in mind, though, Martin, how can it proceed at all unless those really vital issues are determined? Because even if you completely rebuild a house on the old foundations now, okay, and theoretically you could get insurance, that could be negated potentially with new recommendations that foundations could deteriorate early next year. So even someone who possibly could get a quote now, if the guidance is updated, they could end up with this brand new house that they can't insure, sitting on potentially defective foundations. I know I can't believe it's actually February 19th, 2024, and we're still kind of having to negotiate this type of stuff. But that's a big question that really needs answering ASAP. I wouldn't move forward at this point.
No. It is a question, and people can, as you know, replace their foundations if they so wish.
At their
But
cost.
it's at their own cost, and it's not at the cost of the scheme. And some people are doing that, and some people are checking them as they go along. But certainly, I think, Engineers Ireland in particular, who are the experts in this field, certainly have to have strong conversations with both the National Standards Authority, the banks, and the insurance companies to come out with an answer on this question, because you're right, Greg. It is a very, very important
I can't
question.
see any scenario where the insurance industry will underwrite a flawed scheme. Now, if that scheme turns out the foundations are included, I can't imagine any organisation, particularly an insurance company, that will look for any out in a claim. I cannot see any scenario where they will effectively be underwriting the roll of a dice that foundations will be okay.
Yeah, and I think probably there's a meeting, I think, in 2 weeks' time on that. And I think there'll be, hopefully there'll be some clarity from all those organisations at that will give us a maybe a bit of a more clear way forward. Greg, just on one of your listeners that was on with you previously, yes, about their
storage?
Their storage
yeah,
facility and in relation to having extra costs. So if their storage facility cost them 4,000, for instance, if that was the cost, and their ancillary works to that, say for €500 or €600 to make that, you get it onto the house to put down the concrete, that can be claimed back as part of your
even
5,000.
if it's a shed, and you put it in the same garden, and someone might look at it and go, well, that's handy, you'll have that shed after the house is rebuilt. They're not viewing it like that there. It's seen purely as practical storage. So why would that person, I wonder, and we can't talk about individual cases, and I'm not asking you to, but just broadly, why would they be told to get an appeal ready, I wonder?
I'm not sure why.
But you're happy that scenario that Gareth outlined it would mean the 5,000 should be paid?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
well, that's positive. All right, okay. And that's the information that you're working on as well. We'll have to see how it pans out. You can't guarantee that, but that's your understanding of a very complex.
There should be no reason that when the unit costs X and it costs so much, as long as you have receipts to back that up, Greg.
Okay, listen, thanks very much, Martin. I appreciate your time this morning. That's Councillor Martin McDermott there. It's amazing. There seems to be. It's not amazing because I know. I would say I would talk to someone about this scheme at least every other day. Someone affected by it, or someone that wants something clarified, or something. Even actually, sometimes it's just to let off steam on social media, in private message or what have you. But there is still so many unanswered questions. Like real fundamental ones, like foundations, like inner leaves, like insurance. And we have to wait at least a year to find out if foundations are going to be included or what. So, and as we heard from John McLaughlin from the council, he said himself, I put it to him, and this is only his own opinion, by the way, not in the council, not as head of the council, by the way. I did ask him in a personal capacity. I said, look, would you rebuild a house on the old foundations? And his answer was, because he can't give advice and speaking in a personal capacity, was be that if it were he would do what he could to actually change the foundations.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
At ESB, we're investing over €1 billion a year to drive Ireland towards a net zero future. Our ambition is to generate 5 times more renewable energy by 2030, enough to power around 3 million homes and businesses. This means investing in onshore and offshore wind farms, new solar farms, and innovative solutions like green hydrogen. Because we are, and always have been, invested in Ireland. Find out more at esb.ie.
Transform your home with a visit to McGinley's Furniture Letterkenny, located at the Portlink Business Park just off the Port Road. You'll find a huge selection of top quality suites, beds and mattresses, also slide robes and custom-made dining and occasional furniture, with prices to suit every budget. See the great choice for yourself at our showroom, McGinley's Furniture, Portlink Business Park, Port Road, Letterkenny. Click mcginleysfurniture.com.
Start your real electric car journey with the World Car of the Year 2022, the Ioniq 5 at Diverse Hyundai. The Ioniq 5 has a super fast charge and a range of up to 507 kilometres. Donegal to Cork on one charge. Diver's fantastic February offer includes a free home charger, free 1 year's road tax and finance at just 1.9%. Contact Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny today on 91 22 600. Lending criteria, terms and conditions apply. Credit is provided by Bank of Ireland Finance.
Highland Radio are celebrating another birthday. We are inviting you to join us for our Highland Radio Birthday Bash on Tuesday the 19th of March in the Mount Errigal Hotel. Joined by the one and only Margot, myself David James, plus special guests Brendan Quinn, Declan Ernie and Patrick Feeney. This is a night not to be missed. Tickets on sale now. Why not treat yourself to one of our package deals, including dinner, bed and breakfast, plus your ticket to the show. For more information, visit the outlet at highlandradio.com or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. We'll see you at the Highland Radio Birthday Bash.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today. In southern Malawi, communities are facing extreme floods followed by extreme dry spells. Melita is a single mother who farms to support her 4 children. In 2023, a record cyclone ripped across her farm, with rainwaters destroying crops and damaging her home. When her farm faced a withering dry spell later in the year, Melita was left wondering how she would access safe water or feed her family again. Throcra is working with Melita and thousands more like her to adapt to the devastating effects of climate change. You can help them build a more secure future. Visit throcra.org or call 1-800-408-408. Together, we can make a lasting difference. This extreme weather report on Highland Radio was brought to you by Throcra.
Kelly's Diner, winners of Best Family Dining at the Highland Radio Hospitality Awards, is open right through the week with extended opening hours every weekend. Try the renowned breakfast, or the tastiest burgers in town, or something from the selection of healthy options, all on a menu that's packed with all the most popular dishes. First Communion and Confirmation catering is also available to book. All at Kelly's Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Up Dairy. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 71 87 8077 or online spacehubdairy.com for more details.
It's time to travel again, to feel nervous again, to go where they go and roar them on again. It's time to rise again for the Allianz Leagues. This Sunday at Boxit Athletic Grounds, Armagh face Donegal in the Allianz Football League at 3 p.m. Advanced ticket sales only at GAA.ie or selected Centra and SuperValue stores. GAA, where we all belong.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air-to-water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
Okay, mainly dry and sunny today. Clouding up during the afternoon, though, with patches of light rain or drizzle developing later. Highest temperatures today, 9 to 11 degrees and light to moderate westerly winds becoming southerly and freshening a little later on. Now, apparently, 7,500 people will be left without home care this year, according to the newly published HSE National Service Plan for 2024. Jamie Farley's Policy and Communications Manager with Home and Community Care Ireland joins us on the programme now. Jamie, good morning to you.
Hi, good morning.
The 7,500, is that sort of your organisation's extrapolation from what the HSE is proposing, or the HSE conceding, in your view, that amount of people will be left without home care?
Well, it is our calculations, and I can explain them. So if you look at the National Service Plan last year in 2023, the target for home care was 24 million. This year, it's 22 million. Now, as recently as last November, in a letter to the Public Accounts Committee, the HSE say that demand for home care increases about 4% each year. So if you take the 2023 target, we should have 25 million this year. Instead, we have 22. And that's enough home care for 7,500 people. That's 7,500 people who should be funded for home care this year who won't be.
I mean, that, of course, affects lots of different peoples in different ways, but presumably, too, that has an impact on our acute hospitals as well, because this is going to lead to difficult discharging, delayed discharging, as well as lots of other issues.
Yes, absolutely. It's a very strange one, really. It comes back to the health service budget overruns. There was a problem around the budget last year, your listeners probably would have heard. And it's always been very confusing to us and never been properly explained by the HSE, the Department of Health, or by Department of Public Expenditure why home care was cutting this, because we know home care saves you money. If you're not having home care, you're probably going into a hospital, you're going to a nursing home. So in the long run, it costs a lot more. So it's never really been properly explained why home care has been cut in the budget.
Yeah, and your organisation is suggesting, and you've really outlined it too a little earlier on, is that we're not actually planning for the future here because we can't be, because we're not actually keeping a pace with the present demands.
No, in fact, we're going backwards, and I think this National Service Plan really shows that. And it's not just the hourly targets, there's more to it. So there's 2,000 less people receiving home support in 2024 compared to 2023. 2,000 less. We need 2,000 more, not 2,000 less. And if you look at other areas, you can see that there's really disjointed policy around home care. We don't actually have any home care strategy that guides this. So we have sláinte care, but it's not very detailed when it comes to home care. All it really says is more care in the community. There's no actual detail there. That's why we see kind of confusing measures within the National Service Plan. So we have this new complex case home support package. And it looks a good initiative, but we're deliver more hours in the standard home care package. But we already have one of these. It's called the intensive home care package, but only 25% of that target was met last year. So why are we introducing a new package when we have another one that's the targets have not been met?
Now, it's only
There's
anecdotal. Yeah, Janie, sorry, just ahead of the news here. It's only anecdotal, but the what I hear on this programme is not that the money isn't there for home care package, or it's not that home care packages haven't been approved. It's actually the staff and the resources to implement what has been approved. How big of a factor is that? I know you represent an awful lot of people in this area, but there seems to be a shortage of people available to do the sanctioned work around the country.
Yeah, there is. It's a serious problem. And in fairness to the government, some improvements have been made. So as of last year, home carers are going to be paid the living wage as minimum, and they will get mileage, so that's their expenses for travelling between clients. But really, we need to do a whole lot more than that. So we need to index the living wage. So they're only getting paid last year's living wage, not this year's living wage. That needs to be indexed. They need to get paid the living wage every year. Very strange that they be paid mileage, but they're not paid for. They're paid for travel time, but they're not paid for mileage. Mm-hmm. So they get paid. So they get paid for 15 minutes. They don't get paid for petrol. But it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't show a good message. It doesn't attract new carers. Carers need a career development. Currently, there is no career development in home care. There is ad hoc, so you can, within a company, of course, you can become a manager, but there's no clear career progression. Mm-hmm. The advanced home care, it's about people with more serious conditions. We need social welfare reform. So one of the funny things, when you increase the wage of carers, it actually means some of them work less hours because they come into the income band of social welfare. You can't work over a certain amount of time or earn a certain amount. So it kind of has the opposite effect, really, when it comes to delivering capacity. Mm-hmm. So we really need a workforce strategy. That's something that this government should need to push through, and the next government of election this year really needs to get on top of before it's too late, because Ireland is getting older. We're still a young enough population, so we have time. It's not a crisis yet, but very quickly we will be. HSE's own National Service Plan says 25% increase in over 65 by 2030.
Can I just ask a question? Thank you for that. But before I let you go, you represent 32 member companies. Is there any statistics or any information on to the makeup of the staff in terms of, whether we're having to hire staff from overseas to fill a lot of these vacancies, or if it's people that are already living here? Like, is there any information, official or anecdotal, Jamie, as to sort of the staff makeup of the companies that you represent?
Yeah, so we don't track from outside the EU. So people inside the EU are kind of treated as one.
Yeah.
So last year, the employment permit process was open to home care workers. So we got 500 came through last year. We'd expect that to grow this year. The quota is 1,000. We'd expect to get closer to 1,000. Internationally, the researchers said that a good amount of home care workers would be from outside the home country.
Is it fair to say, or is it a reach, Jamie, that for the future of home care, that it can't really be sustained by staffing from within Ireland only, that to meet our care needs going forward, there will always be or need to be an international, national an element to it?
Yeah, there will definitely need to be an international element, of course, but that doesn't mean we should give up on the domestic workforce.
No, of course not.
We should be attracting people. We should be getting school leavers. We should be training them up.
Yeah.
That's something we don't do. It tends to be carers come kind of maybe, after the kids have grown up and they go back to work. We need to kind of...
It's not seen as a career from the get-go. All right, Jamie, listen, it wasn't a loaded question, actually. It was just something I was quite interested in. I appreciate your time. Jamie Farrelly, Policy and Communications Manager with Home and Community Care Ireland. Heading to the news now, which will be a minute late.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Refresh your shoe wardrobe with the latest arrivals from Green Shoes, bringing you the latest styles from top brands such as Riker, Birkenstock and Wonders. Also, New Balance, Bugatti, XTA and many more. Step into style this season with Green Shoes, Market Square, Letterkenny Shopping Centre and Fulcara, or at greenshoes.com. One for all and Shop LK cards accepted.
Shrek the Musical, the West End and Broadway smash hit, is back and is bigger, brighter and more beautiful than ever. Join Strictly Come Dancing's Joanne Clifton as Princess Fiona alongside DreamWorks' iconic duo Shrek and Donkey. This 5-star triumphant musical spectacular comes to Millennium Forum Derry from the 16th to the 21st of April. Tickets selling fast. Book now at millenniumforum.co.uk.
Discover comfort with I Heating and Cooling, your trusted heat pump engineers and Mitsubishi approved service providers in Donegal. We design, install and maintain cutting edge heating systems. Build a lasting relationship with us through annual service and comprehensive after sales support. Contact us for a free consultation on low cost, low carbon heating solutions. Visit iheatingandcooling.ie today.
Make great photos into beautiful gifts at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Different gift ideas include canvas prints, freestanding or ready-to-hang art blocks, and personalised photo books, perfect to mark any occasion. There's also jigsaws, calendars, mugs, and much more. For details, visit mcgees.ie. Turn your favourite moments into something truly special with McGee's Chemist Letterkenny.
How would you like to go on the holiday of a lifetime? Then why not join us for the Highland Radio Hoolie in sunny Salou? Spend 7 nights in the sun with some of Ireland's top entertainers, including Robert Mazzell, Jim Devine, Margot, Claudia Buckley, and many more, with live music all day, every day. Staying in the beautiful 4-star Sol Costa Jurata Hotel, this is a trip not to be missed. Book now by calling Country Music Tours on 074 9119 955 or email info@countrymusictours.ie. We'll see you in sunny Salou.
Cutting through the spin. The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Okay, it's a minute past 11. Let's get a news update and cross over now to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. An Innishowen councillor says he hopes progress on the provision of daycare services in Carndonagh and the retention of the supervised residential unit support at Rark-na-Sláinte can be made now that industrial action by Forza has ceased. Councillor Albert Doherty says questions he submitted in early November will get responses in the next meeting of the North West Regional Health Forum on the 27th of February. Councillor Doherty says it's been a long wait for those affected. Regional Chair of the Irish Farmers Association says that for quality, safe local food, Irish farmers need better support. The body will be staging a protest outside Donegal County Council's special plenary meeting this Wednesday as part of a national action. Frank Brady believes Irish farmers should be better paid and are under too much pressure from government in terms of environmental action. Donegal has officially been appointed a new Chief Superintendent. Grady Sheridan takes up her role today. The new Chief Superintendent took charge of Buncrana District in 2020 and also served in Castlereagh, County Roscommon and Sligo. Previous to this, she spent 6 years as Inspector in Letterkenny. Councillor Nicholas Crossan says it was one of the toughest decisions he's ever made to step away from politics. He served Donegal for 30 years after having been first elected in 1994. Councillor Crossan spoke of his time on the council with Greg Hughes on this morning's 9 till noon show. He says councillors today have much less power than they did previously. And finally, Taoiseach Jamil Martin is among those meeting the widow of Alexei Navalny in Brussels today. EU foreign affairs ministers are gathering to discuss conflict in the Middle East, Russia's aggression in the Ukraine and Mr. Navalny's death. Prominent anti-corruption campaigner and critic of Vladimir Putin died in prison last week, with many blaming the Russian president. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. Back again at 12 noon.
Thanks, Donna Marie. Okay, coming up after the quick ad break, we are going to be debating March 8th referendum. Stay with us for that.
The 100% electric new Nissan Ariya is now on Irish roads, which means you'll discover the game-changing silhouette that sets it apart, as well as its luxurious interior inspired through Japanese design. Then you'll discover the smooth acceleration, quiet operation and advanced technology that makes every drive a pleasure. The new Nissan Ariya from €43,500. Test drive it today and discover outstanding. Nissan, innovation that excites. Dealer delivery and related charges apply.
All right, congratulations and best wishes to Nicholas on his retirement. That comes in from Neil and Helen. Ask Liam McLaughlin what's going on with the Farmers Alliance. He has meetings all over the country but has never had a meeting in Donegal. Are there reasons for this? Greg, I started using the food bin since January. Brilliant. I returned to my normal general waste bin, have nothing to put into it. Nice one. Morning, Greg. My driving licence is due and no appointment to renew. Sorry, and got appointment. There's a T missing. Morning, Greg. My driving licence is due and got an appointment to renew it, but can't pay cash, card only. Can't remember, but thought it went back to cash as well. That comes in from Rose. Yes, Rose, I know exactly what you're talking about because I've seen that myself. Years ago, we could grow our own food. If planes and boats ceased, we'd have no food. We should grow enough to feed our country. Most of our ice cream these days is Ben & Jerry's, which is an American brand. We need products produced by our own people. I went to a shop. A guy was outside it looking for money. I asked him why he needed money. He said he was hungry. I said I'd get him a sandwich. I got him one, and when I came back, he was gone. Whenever you see someone begging for money, offer them a sandwich and you'll see what they're after. Another, it's getting cheaper to go abroad on an all-inclusive holiday to Europe for a few weeks than stay in Ireland. It would work out cheaper to put all the refugees in another country too and pay for it that way. Not bad. Okay. I was going to look into moving abroad after my pension, but if it's cheaper for me to rent out my house and go, maybe I'll do that now. Okay, well, so that's an option for you. Okie doke. We'll be back with... I'm going to clear a break here now because we're going to be talking about the upcoming referendum after these.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Around the Northwest with John Breslin will launch Read DL 2024 with an outside broadcast at the Central Library, Letterkenny, this Thursday, 22nd of February. Read DL is an annual one book, one community programme. So hear all about this year's chosen book, and to find out how you can get involved, tune in to John Breslin on Around the Northwest this Thursday from 12 noon. Live from the Central Library, Letterkenny, for the launch of Read DL 2024.
Make real savings at SuperValue with price cuts like SuperValue Irish Mozzarella and Red Cheddar grated cheese was $2.99, now $2.75. And SuperValue Fresh Irish Whole Chicken 1.6 kilo was $5.29, now $4.99. Plus money off vouchers every week on the app. Pop in store or online for real savings at SuperValue.
In 1869, a dreadful new statistic was born in Ireland: the world's first road death. Since then, thousands of our loved ones have been added to the list of people who have lost their lives on our roads. That list of names does not have to keep growing, because together we can bring an end to road deaths, starting now. Make life-saving changes today and you will help Ireland achieve Vision Zero. No road deaths or serious injuries by 2050. Learn more at rsa.ie.
Hello, Jedward speaking. Sorry, Edward speaking.
Hey, bro, I'm glad you picked up.
Who is this?
It's me, John. I'm literally outside in the landing.
I don't know any Sean. Lose my number. Hello?
Edward, don't hang up. I'm sorry for saying a handyman could fix the gas boiler. Please forgive.
Always use a registered gas installer, or you could risk everything. Find one at rgi.ie.
Donegal ETB's Further Education and Training Fair is on next week in the Radisson Blue Hotel, Letterkenny. Wednesday evening, the 28th, from 7 to 9, is aimed at Leaving Cert students, their parents, and those in employment looking to upskill, with talks on courses and apprenticeships. Then Thursday, the 29th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m, is for anyone interested in full and part-time education or training opportunities. This free event is perfect for finding out about the various options offered by Donegal Education and Training Board across the county.
OK, so on Friday the 8th of March, Irish citizens are being asked to vote on 2 proposed changes to the Constitution. The first referendum concerns the concept of family in the Constitution. The 39th Amendment to the Constitution will be on a white-coloured ballot paper, and it deals with Article 41.11 and Article 41.31 of the Constitution, both of which relate to the family. You have 2 separate votes on whether you wish to make the proposed changes to the current text of Article 41 of the Constitution. So the proposal in this amendment, there is 1 vote for 2 proposed changes. The proposal involves the insertion of additional text to articles that I've mentioned. These proposed changes are as follows. The state recognises the family, whether founded on marriage or on other durable relationships, as the natural, primary and fundamental unit group of society, and as a moral institution possessing inalienable and imprescriptible rights, antecedent and superior to all positive law. And also the change to 41.31, the state pledges itself to guard with special care the institution of marriage on which the family is founded and to protect it against attack. The legal effect of a yes vote, we're told. If a majority vote yes, then the Constitution will change. If not, then it won't. Right, OK, we have a number of people joining us to discuss these issues. We'll start with this. I know it's like a lot of people are voting yes, yes, no, no, but we'll start with this particular proposal first. Mary T. Sweeney, candidate for Aintu in the local elections. Good morning to you. You're no, I take it.
Completely no, all the way, and encourage our voters, our listeners to really, when in doubt, vote no. But I've been completely vindicated. The only party in the country to encourage everybody to vote no, Aintu has come out and led on this. And the reason we're asking people to vote no has just been affirmed this morning by FLAC, who are the legal, independent legal advice, and they have now come out calling for a no vote because of the legal concerns they have in relation to the implications of this ridiculously poorly worded referendum, which is costing the taxpayers.
What are your principal concerns? And I think the Irish Freedom Party are also advocating a no. But what are your concerns in relation to the proposed the referendum concerning the concept of family in the Constitution?
Because, and I can quote from FLAC, which is just hot off the press here, who corroborate exactly what Aintu are saying, that it is unlikely to require the state to provide improved childcare support for carers or for children with disabilities. They have absolutely missed
that's in relation to the care amendment. I was just asking you initially in relation to the concept of family in the Constitution.
Well, families, carers are integral to families. Okay. You know, and where do you stop a carer being part of a family, or a family having caring roles to provide for members of the household? So it's quite ridiculous, and it's that confusion in the wording. It's unbelievable. The wording is so confusing that even the legal teams, when you have the likes of Senator McDowell, a legal brain, the former Attorney General, coming out and giving a very distinct and definite no as well. So I have to admire McDowell. He's done a fantastic stint. And again, I would be encouraging everybody to come to Dill's on Thursday night, where I'm having a meeting to elaborate on why it should be a no vote.
Right, okay. Rachel Coyle, Head of Campaigns and Mobilisation with the National Women's Council. I mean, is it going to be possible for us to have this debate sort of taking these separately? I don't know if you want to address the first referendum concerning the concept of the family in the Constitution, or if you wish to speak of them collectively. I'll leave that up to you, Rachel.
Well, I suppose just to address firstly, FLAC is not advocating a no. If you maybe just look back at that article, but I mean, what I'll focus on, actually, Greg, if you don't mind, is the vote on care, and this is about removing Article 41.2 and inserting new language. We know Article 41.2. It's outdated, the language is limiting, and it doesn't reflect the lives of women. It's time for it to go. It says that only women have duties in the home. It says nothing about the role of men. It says nothing about the other ways that women contribute to and enrich our society. And I just hate to think of children, particularly young women, learning about the Constitution for the first time and seeing this. A woman's place is wherever she wants it to be, and anything less than our Constitution is unacceptable. But deleting it, Greg, was never enough, because caring within families is fundamental to our existence. We all give and receive care at different times of our lives, and this should be recognised. It should be valued, and the state should support it. I think in Donegal in particular, we have quite a high number of carers, full-time carers. I think the statistic from the census last year was 10,693, which is slightly above the national average. And these are people that contribute a huge amount to our society. And the new wording recognises this. It's gender neutral, which is really important, because nearly 40% of carers are men. And while we know that there's still a lot of work to do to even the playing field when it comes to caring, to looking after children, housework, we know that women absolutely still do the majority of this. But the current wording in our Constitution, 41.2, it makes it seem like that's all we do or should do, and that there's no role for men in this. So the new wording at least goes some way. It's a really important step in the right direction.
Can I just clarify they're just, because this is just, she may not be aware of it, respectfully. This is just straight off the press this morning. And FLAC have issued a new statement this morning. The Independent Human Rights and Equality Organisation, which offers free legal advice, has urged a no vote in the forthcoming referendum on the care amendment to the Constitution. And there's quite graphic details given about how it's lacking and how it's failing all the way through. And one of the most important
just to be clear, I know, but yeah, it's just really important that we're having this fully based on fact, on the reality. A legal analysis carried out by the Free Legal Advice Centres concerning next month's referendum proposals has led to it supporting the proposed family amendment to the Constitution, but not, as it describes, the ineffective and implicitly sexist amendment on carers. So they are supporting a yes on the concept of family in the Constitution, but they're not supporting. It's just really, it's going to be a really confusing debate. Just if we're debating FLAC's stance on it, but very clearly they're saying that it's a yes to the first referendum, if we can just call it that, and a no to the second. You can go over that, and I'll come back to you in a moment if you want to, Mary T. Sweeney. Dr. Joe Kelly, I mean, you heard there from Rachel. I'm also was one of those that was a male carer, just to put my cards on the table, that really wasn't necessarily recognised in the Constitution, because the realities of life that it's not always a woman that can do it, let alone whether it's by choice or not. Do you want to focus on the carers element of this, Joe, and tell us why you're advocating a no?
Well, first of all, good morning to yourself and to your listeners and to the panel. And it's wonderful that democracy is alive, that we're having a discussion like this, and we're given the freedom to articulate our views. And that's most important in all of this today, that this is a constitutional amendment. And whether we're for it or whether we're against it, the power lies with the people, not the politicians. And it's important, first and foremost, to say that people should vote and exercise their democratic right. The most important political role in this country is the role of citizen. And every person as a citizen should uphold that role by going out and voting, whether it's a yes or a no. I'll be advocating a no. And let me explain with regards to the carers. I mean, we all have experience of carers, and whether it's directly been provided for or not by ourselves as family members. I mean, I had to help to care for my father in his autumn of his life, so to speak. You've obviously had a role as a carer, as you said there, Greg, but it does not necessarily give, and it's very clear in this amendment gives no new rights to the carer or to the person being cared. That's a fundamental here, and it's a myth to try to project it that they will get right. What they say is that they will strive. Now, the same government is striving to sort out the migrant crisis in this country. The same government is trying to sort out many of other issues, and the word strive is not good enough. And so just to make it very clear, this Blue Book is a constitution. It's not a budget. And the government have it within their remit every year, annually at budget time, to look after the carers and those needing care. And they can do that directly through the budget. And in fairness, Pascal Donoghue and other ministers have acknowledged that. Mm-hmm. This is not a budget book. This is a constitution.
But are you not, Joe, in your statements, though, are you not saying really that you don't have... It's not really about the changes to the constitution. It's about the faith you might have in this government or the next government or any government actually to do the right thing by the constitution. And is that really what... Should we really be thinking that far ahead in voting for change?
Absolutely, because you've hit the nail on the head. The very point of, for example, in the other referenda is the reference durable relationship. And they've said, the government have said, so what does durable relation mean when you're asking? So we'll leave that to the courts to decide. So we're not even deciding what the term durable relationship means. It's left to the courts, and it's not as if the judges sit down together and a big thinking and decide what that means. It comes down to adversarial cases. Maybe one case is brought to the High Court, and then it's on that the law is based. So it's not as if the judges. So we're giving away power.
But is that okay? But some might see that. But so you faith in the Constitution, but then not the legal system. I'm going to go back to Rachel, but I just want to...
Sorry a minute, Greg. No, that's not what I said. The Constitution under Article 5, it lays out the order of the Constitution. The Constitution, if the language of it is that it comes... Power comes from God, and then the people. Okay. And from the people then down to the legislator. So the people are the primary people that own the Constitution, not the legislator, not the child, not the Shannon. So the people...
Understood. I want to give everyone a fair crack of the whip. I'm going to bring Karen in a second, but Rachel, you just wanted to come back on something there more immediately.
Yeah, I just want to come back about, what Joe was saying about not conferring any new rights. But at the moment in the Constitution, there is no recognition of care. And the new wording, it's not going to solve everything overnight, but it is a step in the right direction. It's a really important one, because our Constitution, it isn't just a legal document, it's our guiding document. And it does give guidance to our legislators. It's a reflection of our values. And I don't know anybody who would say that the current wording in Article 41.2, which, Greg, as you say, is commonly referred to as the woman's place in the home, I don't know anyone that would say that reflects modern Ireland or our values. A woman's place is where she wants it to be, and buying care is really important. And of course, it's not going to change things overnight. And we know that the state's record on care has left a lot to be desired. Carers and those of us who advocate for stronger and better paid care and parental supports, we know the struggle. But we have an opportunity now to have this national conversation, this national platform to highlight and amplify these challenges. It's a once-in-a-generation opportunity, Joe. This referendum hasn't come out of nowhere either.
One moment, Joe. Yeah, and I'll come back to you, Rachel, but Karen has been incredibly patient, and I know listening with interest as well. Karen Kieran is Chief Executive of One Family. Your views on the caring element of this vote, you also believe it, do you, Karen, to be outdated, sexist language?
We do, but I suppose I primarily want to speak to the family amendment, actually. One Family was set up as Cherish back in 1972. Many of your older listeners will remember they had a very big meeting at Glencolmkill in the early 70s, actually. And this was at a time when women who became pregnant and they weren't married were really forced, more or less, to have their children taken for adoption, to leave the country, or to be forced to marry. And some very brave women decided that they were going to keep and raise their own children. And then they, start to get in touch through newspaper ads. And there were hundreds and thousands of people from all over the country in great difficulty, mostly because of the state and also because of the church and also because of families. And what was done to those women, the fathers of their children, the children themselves, we know we are now making restitution to those people. And for us in One Family, we've been fighting for this. And our founders, who are now women in their 80s, those of them who are still alive, have been fighting for this for 50 years. This has been coming a very long time. And what they want is recognition for their families in the Constitution, because what was done to many, many people could not have happened. It is completely out of step with families today. Over 43% of babies being born today are being born to parents who aren't married to each other. So they may get married, maybe they won't. Maybe they don't want to, maybe they can't, but it's out of step. And the job of the Constitution is to listen to the voices of the citizens, to respect that and to reflect their realities. So it is really, really important that the Family Amendment, which is about inclusivity, equality, it's building on other progressive referendums to include and see and recognise people. So I'm thinking of Mary from Clare. She spoke at our launch and she's 83 and she said, I really want my state that I love to recognise me and my son, who's in his 50s, before she dies. There are people up and down the country.
Did we not have a on the current Constitution, did we not have a ruling in the courts on the old wording of the Constitution that would recognise that lady's son that you talk of?
Do you mean the O'Mara case?
Yes.
No, unfortunately not, because that has to do with minor children. So that's to do with the fact that John O'Mara and his late partner had children who were underage, and the Department of Social Protection decided not to recognise him as someone who was eligible for a widower's payment. So no, that is not resolved. And in fact, the O'Mara case, and he was dreadfully brave to bring that case, and he had to do it with FLAC support, actually, because it is a very progressive step. But it is not unfinished business. Mm-hmm. And the majority of the judges, I was there in the court on the day, said that their family would not be recognised under the current wording. So no, that's still an opportunity to remedy that and to bring all of these families into the Constitution. And they may never need to apply their constitutional recognition on a practical basis by going to court. But what it does mean is symbolically, they feel part of something that up till now they have been excluded from.
Mary T. Sweeney, just responding there directly, if you don't mind, to Karen's argument in relation to the family. Do you see her argument? Has it swayed you in any way, shape or form?
I think the listener needs to remember that the government have directed that all of the government organisations, the NGOs, are not allowed to have their own voice in this. They must vote.
That is not correct. That cannot be allowed to be said. That is not correct.
That's correct.
But Mary T,
the reality is
it not important, Mary T, and I want you to speak freely,
that's potentially illegal to say that. That is absolutely not correct. Be very careful what's being said
Mary
here.
Is it not important that we talk on... Well, you're not, because I have to stand over it as well, Mary T. So, I just want to distance myself from you suggesting that NGOs are being compelled by government to make decisions. You can say that on Facebook or X or whatever, but just not here. If that's okay.
What I read from,
but that's perfectly fine. But also there are consequences to that. Now, the problem is, Mary T, I have you on the show regularly and I respect everything you have to say, but it's going to come across as, in all our interactions so far, that I've been argumentative with you, and I don't want that to be the case. So rather than turning this into a referendum on government, unless you want to, can you talk to the substantive comments that we've heard from the likes of Rachel or Karen, or make your own in your own time, please, Mary T?
I would like to talk to the people that are really neglected and missed the golden opportunity that this government had. For you people at home listening who are carers, and many of you are getting no reimbursement from government in the role you provide, the very, very valuable role you provide, looking after either an elderly parent, a son or a daughter, or a neighbour. It can be no family member, it can be a neighbour, that you're just doing a good Samaritan turn and you're looking after the reality. And the reality is that there are 15,000, between 350, 500,000 carers across Ireland. And we have just under 18,000 employed in the private sector in Donegal as home care workers. and over 5,000 of those employed by the HSE. And I stood on the streets with those carers that are employed. They were not allowed funding to even travel between houses, which could be 30, 40, 50 minutes in traffic jams in Letterkenny. The families that are doing it unfunded, and families that are excluded because their husband or their wife who had a pension pushes them over the threshold to allow them to claim the 240 or 50 pounds per week.
But what in the context of the referendum though? What does, and in fairness, I think travel now is to be included, and carers are going to be given the living wages, as far as I'm aware. But that doesn't talk to the rest of the stuff you mentioned. In the context of this referendum, though, why does that awful situation of so many carers that you describe lead one to vote no?
Because over the true reality for the people listening on the radio now is that over 80% of the care provided is by mothers. And this is about a deletion of the word mother from the referendum. And Rodrigo Gorman is quoted live on video saying that, actually, as the junior minister was the first that I read, where he said, Minister Neil...
Richmond.
Neil, what's the name?
Neil Richmond.
Yeah. Where he actually said that the role of this was to remove the gender, to make it gender neutral. Rodrigo Gorman said the whole role of this, the emphasis of this referendum change was to make it gender neutral. And that's tragic for women. And that's tragic for the women that should be identified and respected in their own right as women. And that's you people standing at home listening. And the sad reality, may I finish, please? And the sad reality further extends to the fact that we are asking women to delete the role and recognition and respect for women and make it gender neutral, which I think is a travesty and is totally, it's a blatant disregard for the role that women play in society, the role of a woman that differs from the role of the father or the brother. And the reality is we must respect everybody individually.
Okay. Now, Rachel...
should amend and include father, include brother, but not to delete the word woman.
Okay, now Rachel, I think, has to leave us shortly, so I just want to give you an opportunity, Rachel, if you don't mind, to respond to that. And Joe, I'm going to come to you and, of course, back to Karen.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot to kind of unpack there. Keeping Article 41.2 will do nothing to address the issues that you raise around carers. In actual fact, voting no means keeping the status quo, because at least this is a step in the right direction to recognise the care that goes on within families. And the fact that we're putting it in the Constitution means, it's just as it's not a budget, it means it mandates not just this government, but every government going forward to support care. In terms of the comments that you make around removing the word mother or women, we're removing the limits that have been put on women and mothers in this referendum. That's why we're advocating yes. Women do, the word woman, if you want to get technical, it does feature in other articles in the Constitution. But in Article 41.2, it's the only place where we're not placed on equal footing with men, because it says that, working outside of the home is somehow a neglect of our duties. And yet no supports were actually provided to women to stay at home. It's never led to any supports. Every case that was ever brought before the Supreme Court has failed. And we've had 87 years of this. And it's never led to a single progressive support. And just as well to comment, this referendum hasn't come out of nowhere. And it's not just the National Women's Council that are advocating for this. Women and carers have advocated for decades about this. And Joe, you're a historian, you'll know women protested this wording in 1937 because it doesn't reflect the reality of women's lives. We've had every democratic process. We've had a citizens' assembly that came to the position that Article 41.2 is sexist and outdated and has to go. And as we say, these things in terms of the rights of carers, these things are not going to be resolved overnight, but it is a step in the right direction. It gives us leverage to say that Ireland values care, and not just in word. we're going to use this to demand real action, real investment in care supports. Okay. And we would argue, sorry, Greg, but we'd argue that families can't meet care needs in isolation. And the state, there is a clear role for the state to support this. We obviously have advocated for years around this. So for us, voting yes, it gives a stronger mandate to this. Voting yes, it gets rid of outdated and sexist language, and finally enshrines the value of care.
Okay, Rachel, thank you very much indeed. You can exit as you have to, or if you want to hear Joe's response to you, it's completely in your gift. Dr. Joe Kelly, I suppose responding there to Rachel Coyle, who's the head of campaigns and mobilisation with the National Women's Council.
First of all, I think there's misinformation here from the start, and I've been silent quite, and giving everybody a chance to speak. And it needs to be very clear that people, the women and men of Donegal, will get this very simply. Susan Denham, who is the Chief Justice of Ireland, the highest lawmaker in the land, made it very clear that Article 41.2 does not assign a domestic role to a mother. But what the Constitution does is that it elevates her place within Irish society, saying that the common good cannot be achieved without her good. This is not, and has been misused phrase by RT, by ministers, and by you, Rachel. It does not, and I'm asking you to show me. I have the Constitution. If you can tell me the page and the number, and I'll read it out. It does not say in this Constitution, and it's misrepresentation, that a woman's place is in the home. What it does say is that a woman, a mother, gives a unique contribution to our society without which the common good cannot be.
And is that needed? Is that needed in the Constitution, Joe?
Let me finish. Every human being has to come into this world through a mother. We are born through our mothers, and our mothers give us a unique contribution to our society. And that is what our Constitution says. And if a mother should choose to stay at home, then that she shouldn't be forced out due to economic necessity. And that's what it says. To say this is archaic, to say this is not progressive, is not true. It doesn't say that. And the Chief Justice, I can't go any higher than the Chief Justice of the land, the highest lawyer, solicitor, judge in the land that states that. That's the first thing to say.
Can I ask a question, Joe, just in relation, before you get on to the same situation? Do we have a situation now in this country whereby there are women who have poor or very little pensions that couldn't work because of how things were being interpreted and how their role was seen, that effectively they became, go on out, Joe.
You're hitting the nail on the head. And there's things, Rachel, I would agree with, and with Karen. And I don't think that you achieve a right by taking away somebody else's right. You don't enhance the Constitution by reducing somebody within the Constitution. By all means, add in the carers, but you don't have to reduce what's already there. Okay. By all means, add in the new understandings that we require. But that does not mean that we have to reduce family, reduce women, and reduce mothers to a non-identity. And this is really what the Constitution is about. It's about trying to make our mothers, our women, and the contribution they make to society just a non-person, a non-identity. All right. And I think that's very, very unfair. You don't get rights by taking away somebody else's rights.
Rachel and Karen both shaking heads, and I want to bring Mary T back in again. Rachel, quick response to you.
Yeah, just before I go, Joe, if you could point to one progressive support for women from that article, I would, nearly agree with you. But it didn't. Sorry, it has never led to support. And even
that's not true. That is not true. And I'll
name the support then, please, because
I'll name one. My old a good friend, former MEP of mine, Cathy Sinnott, took the Minister for Justice to the High Court, Minister for Education to the High Court, based on that article, the Sinnott case, and she won her case, and the judgment had relied on that article.
I beg your pardon, in terms of the protection, sorry, I'm really unclear there. What you're saying there is by taking women out of the Constitution, as if women were ever protected by it.
Me answer it. You've asked me a question, you've not let me answer it. There are numerous examples in law, and you can have solicitors phone in and barristers phone in, where that article was used to back up and won cases for mothers in the home with special needs, with various different things. Absolutely, I agree with you, Rachel. It hasn't been maybe used enough, and the government financially haven't coughed up enough. I agree with you on that. I agree with you that they haven't made the use of their budgets every year to pay carers and to look after those they care.
But Joe, sorry, but in terms of the language that is there, I'm sorry, you can't argue in any way that it is reflective of the reality and the diversity of
I don't
women's
think
lives.
either
It
of
has
you-
had a limiting role, and when you think about, nobody could argue that the Irish state has treated women, like you say, with this elevated respect and support. That never happened.
On that particular point, I think the listener's going to have to make up their own mind, because I can't see Rachel and Joe coming to an agreement on that. Thank you very much indeed. And as I say, I want everyone to feel they're getting an equal platform here. So I'm going to come back to Mary T after I get a word, please, if possible, on those comments from Karen Kernan, Chief Executive of One Family.
Yeah, thanks. I think we need to go back to think about real people. So, One Family, we have people in and out of our building and our services every day. We have done for 52 years, and we know what's really important to people. And really, a lot of people parenting on their own and separating are worried about their housing. They're worried about the cost of living crisis. But it actually means a huge amount. So we've had lone parents able to buy their own home, get a mortgage, and they've had to sign a disclaimer for the Family Home Protection Act. We have people who, they get one woman here from Finglas. She has 2 children who are constitutional children and 2 children that are not constitutional children. Her children and families are not seen as equal by the state. And really, this is about enhancing family. It's about sharing the protection and recognition of family. It's not taking anything away from marriage. It's bringing other people in. And we all know what families look like and what families do. They love, they support, they care, they worry. That is the work of families.
Could that have been achieved though with a different wording, Karen? In other words, that that there wasn't what some might perceive as a reduction in the important role a mother plays. And a woman plays, but at the same time recognising that, but also showing recognition and changing the constitution that it includes the people that you talk of. Because it seems to be that people feel that the role of woman or women is being diluted in our constitution, not that people are against the level of inclusion that you talk of.
Well, I'm speaking about the Family Amendment, which is the 39th Amendment. So on a separate ballot form, there is that opportunity to remove the very sexist, archaic language about women's duties. And just to say that only ever applied to married women. It didn't apply to single parents. It didn't apply to single mothers. They weren't even imagined when the state was formed, and it did nothing to protect them when they were made be available for work and training by the government. So let's be clear about who's included. Just to also say the Susan Denham quote, there's 2 paragraphs and only 1 paragraph is being quoted, and they're slightly at odds with each other. And that was a minority view. It did not ultimately help. So we will have lawyers, as Joe has said, with different views. But this is about real people. So let's support them. There are discriminations between married and unmarried families. There are discrimination between lone parent and 2-parent families in our social welfare, tax codes, housing, and yet children live in all these families. Karen, so we need to protect and support all of them. And this is a really good start, not the end point, but a start to doing that.
Mary T, would you not like to see the Constitution more inclusive and to take account of the various groups and real life situations that Karen refers to there?
With real language and clear and articulate language, which is missing from this current document, and that is the reality of it. We have spent 200 million on this constitution. That 200 million would have been better served building homes for 150 families across Donegal. It would have been far better served to serve those mothers and the fathers and the children of whatever family combination that they provide. That's the reality of how much this referendum has missed. That is an enormous amount of money in any term. And the reality is that the lack of wording, the fact that the Taoiseach, Leo Varadkar, Roderick O'Gorman and Pascal O'Donoghue have thrown it back and said that the word durable will be interpreted by the courts, which is putting another legal onus on all financial limitations on people that maybe don't have the finances to go to court. That why was that clarity not explicit from the very beginning so that all the people at home listening could understand it? We have the likes of, as I say, the eminent former Attorney General, Senator McDowell. He's tearing this apart. His video is up there to see. And the reality is there's multiple other...
But he is one solicitor.
The chair of the Electoral Commission herself, a Supreme Court Judge Mary Baker, clarified that the wording in the Constitution does not say a woman's place is in the home. And that has been slandered and thrown around flippantly by so many of these women's organisations. And the sad thing for me as a woman is that I think it's very sad that women are so quick to throw out the word woman from anything instead of adding and appending an appendment to it to say with the other reality of whether there's father or brother or uncle or sister.
Your view obviously then is it that women are more important than men, Mary? Like, do you believe women are more important than men?
The O'Mara case stated clearly that the cohabiting couples are recommended and recognised he was able to get his widower's pension. Rightly so, of course he was. Mm-hmm. But we cannot throw out gender. It is ridiculous to throw out gender. And it was Roderick O'Gorman that said that he wanted to make this gender neutral. And the sad reflection is they're destroying the concept of family and home. They're removing the word home if this goes ahead. Mm-hmm. And we need the home. We need a referendum on providing homes for families around this country with 13,000 homeless people and multiple people in Donegal desperate to have that first home.
Now,
and 200 million squandered.
Okay. And Joe, I'm going to let you back in a moment, but Karen, I think wanted to come back just directly onto something that Mary T mentioned there. Karen.
Yeah, both of these amendments are really about including more people. They're about including the men and dads who care, as well as the mums and the women. So this is about including them. It's around including care in the family, the broader family. It doesn't mention in the home. Because it's including that we have grannies and granddads and aunts and uncles who also provide care. And it's really about, people who end up going to the Supreme Court are in very vulnerable situations. So they're very extreme cases. So for most people, this is symbolic. It's around saying we see and recognise you and your family. And a no vote or staying at home would be a complete rejection and would be incredibly hurtful to many people.
Karen, the word woman, mother is used in the Constitution.
It's in other parts of the Constitution.
But
this is a red herring. What it's doing is bringing in everyone. It's not even that it's gender neutral. It's just
inclusive. Okay, but a lot of people don't like the fact that even if this is the only one instance of mother being, like, what I'm getting is a lot of people might go yes if there was additional language rather than what's being perceived as the removal of mother. So in other words,
but the additional language is around for the very, very first time ever, a recognition of care in family. That's what's going in, and that is the first time the work and labour of care in families ever been recognised. And instead of taking something away, it's actually including all the men and dads like yourselves who also provide care within the family. So it's a progressive and it's an inclusive thing. It's not taking anything away. Women are mentioned in other places, but they're mentioned on equal status and standing in other places in the Constitution. So this is nothing to be afraid of. This is around embracing progress and providing a platform to build for future governments, which could be Mary T and her party, to provide for carers.
I just wonder if this is getting caught up in the progress debate, and if this would have had 10 years ago, it might be different. Joe, you've been waiting patiently there.
Look, I mean, there's things that have been said there by Karen that I can't disagree with, but you don't include people by excluding people. You don't enhance something by unenhancing it. And symbolic as it may be, you're trying to make something symbolic by reducing the understanding of family, by reducing the understanding of motherhood, reducing the role of women. Can we not enhance what's already there and build on it? And as you say, include other types of families. Of course, we live in a modern Ireland and a changing Ireland. Absolutely. And why is there not room for them? But that doesn't mean to say that you have to take away what's already there, build on what's there and make it better. But there are legal instruments already there, and you know this very well, under the statutes enacted in 2010 to cohabiting couples, etc., various rights. And the state have not, and this is where the problem is, and Karen, I think you can accept this much. We do not know what the definition of durable relationship means. So you're going to reduce and make no differentiation between a marriage and a durable relationship. So automatically, and the Attorney General, former Attorney General Michael McDowell has pointed this out, this is going to have massive tax implications, inheritance, farms, businesses, pensions. We do not know.
Okay, just on that point, and I'll bring Mary T back in, but I just want... But you made just a really big... You can remake that in a second.
Build on what's there. Okay. Build on what's there. Don't reduce what's there. Okay. And that's what we're being asked to do.
I get you. But I don't want to miss... I think, you made a number of things. You made a number of things that might actually happen. So that's why I wanted just Karen to have her word on that. He's confusing. What are you saying, Karen?
I think you're confusing the change, the removal of the sexist language of woman from the 40th Amendment, and you're confusing that with the enhancement of family in the 39th. But just to say that the Electoral Commission, which is, of course, the neutral body, is saying that the family is founded on other durable relationships means a family based on different types of committed and continuing relationships other than marriage. And what that means is that children and their parents, unmarried families, will be included for the very first time. It will mean that grannies, granddads, aunts and uncles who are providing kinship care when the parents of the children cannot help, they will be included. And it means that long-term cohabiting couples will also be seen and recognised. There is a very deliberate reason all of those have not been listed. It's because it would then exclude somebody. So Conor O'Mahony, who is academic, Special Rapporteur for Child Protection, says the entire purpose of the amendment is to move away from a rigid definition, which is what we've got now, towards a more flexible approach that accounts for the fact that families come in all shapes and sizes. Now, we know who these families are. We are these families. 43% of children today being born to families not recognised in the Constitution. That's not okay.
But Mary T, maybe just because, maybe because at the moment 43% of children are what was the phrase you used? Born not to married families.
Born to parents not married to each other.
But maybe that's the direction that we don't want necessarily. Some people don't want to go. That we should try and actually return maybe more to a situation where more children are born within the families, and changing the Constitution maybe makes that an irreversible trend. Is that a concern you have, Mary T? Just finally,
I have a concern that we won't know what families are. And also, the elephant in the room is the people in society that are concerned about what is the family reunification and how far the remit of that will go in relation to the migrants coming in at this moment, and in relation to the expansion of families. At the moment, a family is protected by our Constitution extremely well, as in being a couple, and that's whether they're same-sex or whether they're heterosexual. The family unit, the guidelines, the laws are there to protect them. When this blows up without the legal definition, without clarity, without any fences to tell us exactly what it means, we have no concept of the idea of polygamous relationships where you can have 4 wives.
Yeah, but that's illegal in this. Polygamy is illegal in this country, though, regardless of what changes in the Constitution.
No, but that is a matter for the courts, the same as what
it's illegal.
Of durable is.
Yeah, but polygamy is illegal.
May I clarify?
Okay, that's fine.
Clarify?
Yeah. All right.
The word durable is not clarified in law, in writing, that is acknowledged in this referendum.
But polygamy in and of itself is illegal.
I beg your pardon. The polygamy is illegal only because at the moment, but there's nothing to stop it being challenged because of this definition in law in Ireland as we go forward.
But could you not already challenge the Constitution to say that your Constitution doesn't recognise my cultural right to have multiple wives? I mean, could that not already be, I don't know how that worked, but presumably if someone wished to challenge the Constitution, Karen, they could already do so if that were their will, no?
Well, we have to all follow the legislation, and there's legislation there for tax and social welfare. There's legislation around who a family is, and the European Court on Human Rights has been making judgments and similar to this since the 1970s. There's nothing radical going to happen. This is actually about real people. This is about us, our friends, our neighbours, our relatives who are currently excluded symbolically and otherwise from our Constitution, and saying, you know what, we treated you terribly for many years because you weren't married. We ignored people, we treated them badly, and now is our opportunity to bring them in. And people have voted with their feet.
Okay.
People are deciding
We
they
just
don't
have to
be
quick-
Can I
married.
just put in there briefly just to mention one thing that has been avoided in all of this debate, and that is the online relationships. I see a growing number of programs dealing with women particularly, and men, engaging in online, what could be contentiously called durable relationships. And I see often the women or possibly the men being fleeced online by these, what could now become durable relationships. And it just alarms me of the vulnerability of our fathers or mothers or brothers or sisters forming these online relationships that will they have inheritance rights?
This is about real people.
Yeah, but
this is about
they have
real
inheritance
families.
I think Karen is talking about this dealing with people who are existent and real situations now, rather than I think someone
These are
saying
real.
what about her? I don't know. It's up to.
There's no connection to this amendment. That's just a red herring. It's
I'm going
very
to have to give you 30
This
seconds.
is about real people. Let's respect the families that are out there that are currently excluded instead of bringing up red herrings about them.
Red herring is the actual wording of this referendum, Karen, unfortunately.
Okay, I have to wrap this up.
There are constitutional experts, the Attorney General.
And the
Attorney General.
Okay, one
I just want to read something. The Attorney General said, durable is a more appropriate term to capture relationships between a child and their parent rather than committed, because committed can imply only the horizontal or the adult relationships. It was very deliberately chosen. And it is to capture the relationships between children and parents.
I just want to give Joe Joe
it's
a
a
minute
very
because
positive thing.
Just to make sure everyone had an equal amount of time, though it is 2 and 1, and Karen, fair play to you, I do understand. But listen, it's still balanced out, and we're all adults, and it's a constructive conversation. But Joe, just briefly wrap up from your perspective.
I think very quickly, Karen has hit the nail on the head. She wants to reduce the Constitution on the understanding of family. And I'm not confusing the amendment, the 39th and the 40th Amendment, Karen, by no means. But my point is, you don't make a good law by making another one bad. You don't have to improve the Constitution by making it poorer somewhere else. You can add into the Constitution. And a loose definition is not serving anybody. And what I can understand is you've given us a definition of what durable relationship is, yet nobody, no minister in the government has been able to provide this. I mean, it's amazing how you can say that with absolute confidence when none of us can say that, because it hasn't even saying what a durable relationship is.
Okay.
I think it's ludicrous. And Mary, it is a red herring because you cannot define what a durable relationship is because you're not a High Court judge. I think you're taking roles and honours onto yourself with your powers that you don't have. That's the first thing. The second thing, which I think is very important to say about this, Michael McDowell asked for the minutes and the meetings of the government on this discussion to be made available. And he was told no, that he wasn't allowed to see why the terminologies that we're debating today was not.
I'm going to have to give Karen just a quick response to that before I go.
One minute.
Yeah, but we don't simply don't have the time, Joe.
We couldn't have it because the people don't need to know. The people don't need to know. So the government don't like us and they think we're stupid. This is
We'll get it in 30 years, I suppose. Karen, quickly, please. Sorry.
Yeah, so just 2 things. I'm not a politician and I'm not an apologist for the government in any way. My understanding is that couldn't be released because it might influence the referendum. So that's democracy. So maybe it will influence
speech.
Sorry, I'm just going to finish.
Just one moment, Karen's just going to finish this point on that.
The other point is the Taoiseach, whether, I'm assuming he's got very good advice. He's saying that a yes to the family and care amendments will bring 1 million people into the Constitution, that it will bring in unmarried parents and children. It will include unmarried couples. It will include kinship and family carers. And that is a positive thing. So that is what I'm listening to, because the courts are for the future, absolutely.
Okay.
And it'll only be a very few vulnerable people. But the politicians are saying, this is what we mean.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to do.
Mary T, just
so
you
we can
said,
believe them or not believe them.
Thanks, Karen, of course. And that's the public's view. You've an event coming up, Mary T. Do you want to quickly mention that before we finish?
Thank you very much, Greg. And listeners, if you're available and you want further debate, come along on Thursday evening at 7:30 to Dillon's Hotel, and I'll explain in detail why I feel it's so important to vote no.
Right, okay. Thank you very much, all of you. We'll be back with more after this break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
At Lidl, we've dropped the prices of over 600 products, so you save on essentials like shower gels, Irish chicken breast fillets, and fusilli pasta. That lowers the price of a whole trolley from €87.01 to €71.94. That's like €15 back in your pocket. That's even more reasons to go full Lidl today. For full list of products, see Lidl.ie/price drops.
Experience total relaxation in the Spa at Orchids at the Holyrood Hotel, Bundoran. Recently awarded Best Hotel Spa Getaway at the RSVP Spa Awards. Enjoy luxury spa baths, revitalizing facials, rejuvenating massages, pampering body treatments, outdoor hot tub, and tranquil Japanese garden. Visit on a luxury spa day, pop in for some me time, or buy the perfect present with a gift voucher. Relax and let the Spa at Orchids transport you to another world. See HolyroodHotel.com.
Big screen musical season is here at Century Cinemas with classic musicals like Kinky Boots and The Titanic coming to the big screen for limited dates only. For movie dates and more information, visit our website at centurycinemas.ie or call 074 91
There's bingo every Monday night at Halfway House, Burnfoot. Doors open at 7:30 with eyes down at 8:30. €2,500 must go. The snowball is now €1,000 on 45 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's Halfway House bingo tonight at 8:30.
Do you currently have vacancies that need urgently filled? Have you tried various ways to find new staff but didn't succeed? Let Highland Radio help you source and fill your current vacancies in the most cost-effective way. Simply sign up to our new job spot and we will tell our listeners about your vacancies both on air and online. Every Monday, Wednesday and Friday during our primetime shows, we will broadcast the latest job opportunities across the Northwest and into counties Derry and Tyrone. All job listings will be available online at highlandradio.com. For more information, contact the advertising team on 07491 25322 or email advertising@highlandradio.com. Highland Radio, we're here for you.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
We're driving the Citroën C4X on Dublin's most